All right, everybody. Before we get started, I'm going to make my brief appearance in this podcast because I made a promise to everybody. I can't remember what episode it was in, or if it wasn't an episode. I think I talked about it in our trailer breakdown episode. That if a certain thing happened in this movie, I was going to commit seppuku.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to thank everybody. It's been a good run.
Yep.
Can I have your stereo?
Yeah, I was going to say, you promised us a lot of stuff.
You guys can have my stuff.
Nothing better to kick off a podcast than a good old honor killing.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone, all the listeners out there. I have been Josh for the last year for everybody.
Yep. Oh, God. Oh, it got in my eye.
Oh, everywhere.
Ew. Oh, man. I literally just got this shirt ironed. Pressed?
I mean,
Oh, God. It's continuing to spray.
I don't want his stuff now. It's all covered in... Ugh.
I'll take it.
We can bleach that.
That's
Bleach
true.
it? That's fine, yeah.
Give it a good scrub.
Cool. So anyway, Raylo confirmed?
Yeah.
I'm a Force ghost.
Oh, no.
Oh,
Force
my
goes Josh.
Who knew he was a Jedi?
Yeah, everybody.
That's a fun bit.
That was fun for everyone. Fun for the whole family.
Ritual suicide is fun.
Right?
Yeah. Spoilers, everybody. We're going full spoilers.
Hell yeah.
Right off the top.
Are we going to do full... I mean, I literally just did, but are we going to go full spoilers right off the top?
Full spoilers,
or-
everybody.
Full spoilers off the top.
Snape kills Dumbledore.
God damn it, you son of a bitch.
Sorry.
I'm not going to lie. I like that you were like, if Snape kills Dumbledore, and then I was like, in the movie, I'm like, you got a fucking Snape moment.
Yep.
Damn, Snape really does kill Dumbledore.
No, that was absolutely a loaded joke.
Snape killed fucking Dumbledore.
Snape killed Dumbledore.
God damn it. Welcome to the Moist Boys podcast.
Moist boys.
Yeah. As I previously said, my name is Josh.
Hi, Josh. My name's Jonathan. Oh, no, wait, it's Harley. Sorry.
Oh my god. way to run that into the ground for that thing you weren't even here for, Harvey.
That is what you think.
That's fair. That's going to keep coming up. I am Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan.
And I'm the best bro, Heather.
Best bro, Heather.
And today, I'm just going to go ahead and bypass no theme songs, no preamble, no bullshit. It's all content.
Wait, so I'm
because-
not going to sing my prepared song about Star Wars?
Don't you fucking dare.
No.
Star Wars.
God damn it.
Nothing but Star Wars.
And demonetized. All right.
Nice.
Nothing but your face.
Sorry, John
Content
Williams,
claimed.
for our hubris.
Yeah, so this...
Arrogance.
This is going to be an episode and a half, I do believe, because there's a lot of emotions going on.
Yeah. A very special episode, if you will.
Yeah. I think
One might say.
I think I'm going to be on one end of the
Human centipede.
Yeah,
That is opinion.
I'm going to be on one side. And I think Harley's going to be on a
The
kind
caboose.
Oh,
As per usual.
I'll get the stapler.
Yeah.
We haven't really gone over with each other where we stand as far as quality goes. We've talked a little bit, but we didn't want to shoot our load before the...
On what was intended to be a dry run,
Yeah.
and now I've ended up with a mess on my hands.
Yeah.
There it is.
There it is.
Those jokes.
So much like gay characters in any Disney movie, we will be here and gone in a flash.
Hey-o.
Wow. Coming
Actually-
out hot.
Actually, probably the opposite of that.
Was
'cause
that the joke you were sitting
No.
on? Oh,
There's-
that was
it's-
a good one. I like that.
that just popped into my head because
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that is... Blink and you miss them, folks.
Yeah.
But I mean, you'll notice it because Disney has spent the last month talking about it. But
Yeah.
if you didn't know it, if you weren't looking for it going in, you wouldn't. But this is the first
To be
film.
fair, I was not looking for it, but I did see it.
I didn't know that it was gonna be there, and I saw it, and then was definitely like, not the gay kiss I wanted.
Yeah,
but
that's exactly
take
what
it.
that's exactly what happened, because it was basically like, for one character, which I'm sure we'll get into, they were very much like, oh yeah, I think this is okay to say because it's a turn of phrase, so not trying to say this offensively, but they basically like no homoed one character and then immediately had two other characters kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's basically how I took an entire arc of one character.
Yeah. So for this,
Hashtag pin for life.
Yeah. Ooh, pin. Oh, I haven't heard that.
Yeah. It's either pin or foe.
I like faux.
I like pin.
I like pin.
That's fine to be wrong.
so for this podcast, for those
Yes,
of you
you
that
are.
have listened to our episodes, you know we don't do the usual plot point by plot point.
Nope.
We're gonna do it by character because I think that's a more interesting conversation. Because we like to do we like to do tangents here, so
I mean,
here to
the
tangent.
I
Bill.
feel like what's happened every time prior is that we say the first name of a character and then do not actually list out any other characters afterwards.
Yeah.
So
So since Harley brought it up, I'll start with that character. Kerry Russell is in this film. She plays no homo. I mean Zori Bliss. But don't worry,
Is
folks.
that who it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't worry, folks. She's not.
She is not DTF.
No, she's also. They didn't just put her in here for no reason. She's very integral to the plot.
very integral. And she has a lot of FaceTime in the film.
Sorry, folks. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back. So yeah, we're being ironic. There's no reason for her character to be in this movie other than for Oscar Isaac to not be around Finn.
Yeah.
Essentially.
For me, that
Yeah.
is the only purpose that because they didn't give them a romantic arc at all. They didn't really give any payoff to any of their conversations. They literally just had her in the film and had them flirt, basically just to say, oh yeah, no, so Finn and Poe isn't happening, people.
Yeah.
So I think that was maybe one of the big FUs to me personally, and probably a lot of people expecting. But I mean, also, maybe we shouldn't expect so much from our shipping, but that's just
Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't 4chan.
heard that.
So yeah, that's about it for her.
Literally, that is it.
That's about it.
Okay, so I want to talk real quick about something that the only thing that you showed us that I had looked at previously going into this movie about the movie at all was, holy shit, do they kill people just to have them not be killed off?
Yeah.
So much in this movie.
Yeah, that tracks.
To where it was like the exact opposite of what I like when we were talking about Solo. What I said about that movie is that movie was the kid who has action figures on the playground and then like walks up to you and is like, do you want to play with this action figure? And then throws it on the ground and stomps on it.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's cool, but that's not my toy, so I don't give a shit because I've known that toy for 15 minutes and then you
5 seconds.
blew it up on a bridge.
Yep.
This movie does the opposite of that, where it's like, and then the character died, but they were okay.
I'm not going to lie. So Kari and I, my wife and I, for everyone listening, when we went and saw this movie, so there's a scene basically when Rey and Kylo are basically struggling over a transport ship that supposedly has Chewie on it, and basically Rey accidentally force lightnings the transport ship, which for me was pretty fucking cool. And
That's a good scene.
It was a good scene.
real good scene.
And we got so aggro and sad about the idea of even the possibility of Chewie not making it through this movie. So honestly, I think that was one thing where it was a bait and switch, but honestly, when they showed that Chewie was still alive, like I feel like it's hard to get me with that. And
That
they got
one was
me.
fine.
Yeah.
It was the 10 that came after.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it wasn't so
Yes.
much and then they died and they were okay. It was like two kids playing and them kid being like, you're not playing right. That's
Yeah.
not what happened.
They didn't die.
It was fine.
It was
Yeah.
fine. They all fell into the quicksand and then out the other side.
There's a secret tunnel system under the quicksand.
That's true. I kind of feel like if anything, they were meaning to cut away to a different scene to give that maybe like a little bit more,
Any sort of tension?
tension. And
You can't kill them all off. That's literally all your
This
characters.
literally your cast.
Yeah.
It's like they're dead.
They're
Unfortunately,
dead. And now Kylo Ren is.
unfortunately, they cut to one of the four characters that for me didn't need to be in this, which was probably the most obnoxious for me, Snap Wexley, played by Greg Grunberg, I guess it was supposed to be funny, the scene that's in the middle of that.
Oh, that's right.
Because they cut to Greg Grunberg talking to
Leia.
to Princess Leia, General Leia.
Again, I think that's just an example. So another thing with this film is that, at least from what I've read, J.J. Abrams has gone on to say that of the scenes that they had of Carrie Fisher from, I think, The Force Awakens, right?
Yeah.
They were deleted
Yeah, it
scenes. They took those and, obviously, in the pursuit of having her in the film, wrote around them. However, I feel like they gave those scenes all of the elegance of a garbage truck driving through a preschool.
All of those scenes looked like a YouTube fan cut.
Yeah, exactly.
It looked like bad lip reading.
For sure. And I just feel like that's exactly what happened here, is that they had a natural break in the above ground and the below ground of our cast, and then like,
Yeah.
why not shoehorn the scene in here?
Let's throw some Greg in there. We like Greg.
And I'm just gonna preface this all by saying that I love the fact that they did have Carrie Fisher in this movie with film that they had previously filmed and did not try to CGI her, because I feel like that would have been extremely, I don't know. If you listen to our review of Rogue One, I was not very happy with any of the CGI in that film, as far as bringing in
People.
deceased people, and I
Yeah.
feel like it's, especially with Carrie Fisher, it would have been pretty I think disrespectful. So
Yeah.
I was happy that they did what they did.
So anyway, you were saying the scene with
Oh yeah,
Snap Wexley.
Snip Buxley.
Oh yeah, I think J.J. Abrams thinks we like Greg Grunberg more than we do. Well, I think he thinks we like him as much as he does, which is not true.
Yeah,
Because he's in this a lot, and one of the probably the funniest death in all of Star Wars is when Snap Wexley blows up and Poe shouts "No!" and I'm just like, I don't fucking care, dude.
yeah. I mean, I think we'll probably get to a lot of the lines and writing of the latter half of this film, and just in that whole, yeah. But
So he didn't need to be here.
Oh, I'm like, what was he in?
what else was he in?
Felicity. He was in it with.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, there
God
we go.
damn it.
Just a little bit of Hollywood nepotism. Why not?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess special mention. It's not going to take long to talk about him because he's not really in this and really doesn't really do anything. Dominic Monaghan as Beaumont.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
one of
liked
those.
him there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had no
but-
problem with him.
Nope.
I feel like they maybe lingered on him a little too much, because I felt like it seemed like they were trying to make him more of a character than he needed to be. But
Yeah.
I didn't like he's a great actor, and
Yeah.
he has a nice face. And
It's just like I think we've talked about it before in these like the name of an actor versus how much screen time they get. I think like it's a very close balance of between like John Williams's cameo and a character that has an actual lines and stuff in the movie.
Yeah.
That's what you meant. Did you see John? I did not see John Williams.
wait, no, I didn't either.
Yeah, he's got the like robot eye when they're going.
Oh,
And-
okay.
oh,
I
He's
was
the
like,
bartender with the robot eye.
why did we focus on this random bartender? And I'm like looking at him. I was like,
Oh,
maybe
I
is that the bartender
love
from
that.
the original trilogy?
No,
he's
it's
got
John
it dead
Williams.
by now. Okay.
Oh my god, I love that. I did not catch that at all.
I love it too.
Oh, John. God
Yeah, so
bless.
John Williams is in this. There was one character that would have been nice if they had done something, but they really didn't, even though she's pretty high up on
So
the...
basically everyone but our main 5 cast members.
So Naomi Ackie plays Jana.
Yeah.
And she's in this movie for more scenes, and she keeps coming back when she doesn't need to. And there's some weird
feel-
sexual tension
Yeah.
between her and a character that was not appropriate.
Oh, so okay. I thank you for saying that, because I thought I was the only one. Because I looked over to Kari when we saw this film at that so I think you're referencing the.
Where are you from, child?
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
Let's find
so
out.
I did not get sexual
No,
tension from
yeah.
that. I definitely got the maybe we're related.
that's
If they
that's
did
what
that, I was gonna walk out of the fucking theater.
I know.
If they were
I
just
don't-
like, I don't. Oh, where are you from? I'm from this system.
Glibble globble.
I've
Yeah.
been there.
Oh,
me too.
yeah, I am also from
Honestly,
there.
I feel like that would have actually made that scene a little bit less like ugh, for me, because I feel like that was my knee jerk. Like, are they why are they so flirty right now?
I
Yeah.
definitely did not think it was flirty.
Yeah, no, and I think
I didn't
I think
catch
Kari was the same because I looked over and was like, ugh, and she was like, what the fuck are you looking at?
To be fair, I feel like
First
I can
off,
only
are you
see.
guys are the gross men who are reading into this?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
I did not
No,
read into that.
That tracks.
I will say I feel like I'm only doing that because I can only see Lando Calrissian as that character who's just like,
yeah.
what up, girl?
What up, girl?
yeah.
Do you like my capes?
He didn't wear a cape.
Which is unfortunate. I
I
like.
was
I
so
like the
glad that he
capes.
wasn't wearing a cape.
What?
Because
I love
everybody's
the
like,
capes.
oh, well, I guess he's the cape guy.
Because
now.
Solo
And I'm
turned him
like,
into Cape Guy.
Cape guy, and I was like, "Thank
So
you
for
for
this
not
movie to just
putting
come out
Billy
and be
D."
like-
in. Though I did look at you at one point and was like,
What's wrong with
"That's why
capes?"
his name is Billy D."
Yeah.
Oh, because you were like, it
give
was
Leia my
it was the
love.
Leia, it was
Yeah.
the Leia.
Oh no, that was
Lando.
smooth. As
Yeah, and I was like, that's why
glass.
his name is Billy D.
It's not. There's nothing wrong with capes, but
Thank you.
Solo flattened out so many of the characters,
Yeah.
including
Yeah.
Lando. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he's the cape guy. That's he wears capes and he fucks robots. That's his
He
character
wears
in that
the capes
movie.
and he fucks a robot.
Which
yeah.
I'm glad he wasn't around any robots in this movie because that's all I would have been able to think of.
Yeah.
I to walk back to Jana, the character.
Yeah.
I liked her character. I liked what they were doing with her character as far as giving Finn, I guess, like an ally who's been and through the same thing. I don't know.
To me, it made me feel like it was opening up it was the overarching theme that Poe and Finn were really trying to argue with each other about, and then
Yeah.
just arguing with everybody else about, was that we're not alone.
No,
There's
there
more
are
people
people,
like us.
for
There's
sure.
more people out there, and
Yes.
so this was
Yep.
Poe finding. It was Finn finding somebody who was like him, who was not alone, and them being like, "There are more of us out
Yeah.
there."
Yeah.
It was the hope he needed at that point.
I really like that they did that, and that's exactly what I was ready. Thank you. You put it much more elegantly
you.
than I was going to get around to. And I'm really glad. I don't know. I feel like I read some snippet of some review early on, which literally just said, "Oh, they basically brought an African American, a black actress, to couple up with the one black actor in the film."
Well,
I
no,
thought they
And
were
I'm
going to.
both
I'm-
black actors in the film,
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry. Yes. True. Thank
which
you. Of course, correct.
I think makes it kind of like under her talking to Lando at all is unnecessary and makes it uncomfortable. If it was just them on the Endor planet,
Yeah.
and then her at the end with the thing, I would have been like, oh, that's a cool character.
Yeah.
But then like she kept reappearing and not advancing the story at all. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
are they setting up a comic series that they're gonna come out with? Like, is there a Lando Calrissian comic book that's coming out where they're gonna go to her home, find her whole planet?
I mean,
Where they're
probably.
gonna find all the kidnapped stormtroopers home planets.
Which would be cool, but yeah, not necessarily what we need in a mainline Star Wars
Especially
film.
at that when you're trying to wrap up a 40-year series and you're suddenly spending 5 minutes on this brand new character that you have no
Yeah.
connection with.
My main problem, and I'm sure we'll get to this, is that I feel like for every second of film that they spent on Jana, they were basically sidelining an already existing character that got pretty much written out of this movie entirely, which was Rose.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get to that, but
I don't think we're gonna have much. Unless anyone has any big Jana takes, I think we can probably move on to Rose.
yeah, and I think again, I like Jana. I liked what she did as a foil for Poe.
Yeah.
However, again, I feel like every time we had Jana on screen, it was almost explicitly served. It explicitly served to undermine the character of Rose, who was introduced in the
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
For this very specific reason,
Yeah.
to give Finn something to think about.
Exactly.
to give him like though. So yes, I feel like while her entire existence takes away from Rose as a character,
Yeah.
I feel like if they had just done this character from the beginning and actually given him a parallel,
Yes.
that would have been a much better idea.
So instead of having the Rose character, having it be the Jana character,
Yes,
narratively, absolutely.
narratively, yes. But like, it's just
I understand that, like, in this film, I can see the argument going back and forth. I could see the argument that Rose wouldn't necessarily have as much to do on the Millennium Falcon throughout the entirety of this movie. However, neither would really any of the characters that they shoehorned, especially the giant slug man.
I love Slugman.
I like Slugman too, and his name was literally Claude, which makes me laugh probably more than it should.
Oh, that's what that. So we had a meme spread about the Moist Boys chat, and I had no idea what it was about. But I
Are
guess
they
that's
calling
what
us a
it
bunch
was.
of Claudes?
No, it's the one that one of our former guests shared with us about Claude putting on the Infinity Gauntlet and snapping away the Disney Star Wars universe.
Oh, that's right.
I just made that connection because I kept saying, Claude, why are you doing
Yeah.
this?
Oh, that's funny.
So, yeah.
God, I hate that so much more now.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, spoilers, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah,
on.
so they kind of shit on Rose a little bit.
They shit on
in
Rose a
this
lot.
movie.
You guys are irritating the crap out of me because for people who didn't like the Rose storyline in the last one, like now you're irritated she's not in it, kind of irritates me.
I wasn't irritated.
I don't think any of us were. Maybe Joshua was. I'll say Joshua was.
I was disappointed in the writing that they did to her. Like, she completely forgot how to be a person at the end of that movie, and like what they were trying to say do.
I feel so. Let me explain my position. I feel like the fact that they shoehorned the romance at the end of The Last Jedi was the only thing about Rose's involvement that kind of irked me a little bit. But I feel like if you already have that set up as like canon, like you don't just completely ignore it for the next film. And that's exactly what everything I didn't like about this movie is exactly that. They basically took things that were in The Last Jedi that technically were now canon, whether or not we all liked them or not, and just completely forgot about them. Or, I mean, actually did some kind of inelegant, like,
Retconning.
twister retcon, yeah, to make them not happen. But I would be interested in hearing your opinion on that as well.
Oh.
Just a shrug.
Just a shrug?
Shrug. I didn't hate or miss Rose.
No.
Like I
The
didn't.
thing that
her character was not like. It's such. While I love the actress, and if you don't like something that people are in movies, don't shit on them. But
Yeah.
like, I didn't particularly love the Rose Finn storyline. It was.
I mean, the Cantabite.
It wasn't really necessary in the last one, and we all kind of talked about how it wasn't really necessary. And then now to have people be like, "Well, then why isn't it fucking there?" And it's like, because you shit
So
on it so fucking hard.
And that's exactly why I think I am kind of upset that she wasn't in the film more, because I feel like what they did in this film legitimizes that
Of
like,
all the things that they say "fuck you" to the audience over, this wasn't the thing that they swung with.
yeah, right.
Well, because like even the screenplay does it like to her, because early on when they're Rey, Poe, and Finn, they're going to go off on their adventure. Finn runs up and goes, "Hey, Rose, you going to come with us?" And she says, "I can't. Mom says I have to stay here and do my homework." And I was like,
Yeah.
really, movie? Like, you're not going to like if you're going to ignore the character, ignore the character. Just
Yeah.
have her there in the back. Don't like
I-
oh, you like this character and like rub your nose. Like,
Yeah.
even if you don't like her, like I don't want people that do like her to have their noses rubbed in the fact that like they're gonna write her out of the movie for a
Yeah.
big chunk of it. Like that was my like, she doesn't have to be there all the time doing it, but like don't point that out.
Yeah.
Don't be like, "Hey, you like Rose? Well, too bad. Princess Leia's gonna make her stay here and
That was,
read up on Star Destroyers."
Yeah, those are my feel, and I feel like she could have had more of a role in this film. But I get either way. I just
But where would she have had more of a role? Because I don't see anywhere in this film that I needed Rose.
Other than in the third act where she was.
Yeah.
Everything she does in the third
I
act.
agree with Josh that maybe don't have Finn run up to her and be like, "Come on, man, let's
We're
go."
going on an adventure.
but again, that's the thing, because it's
but-
like I mean,
So yeah, don't rub the nose in it, but like I don't think that you should have inserted Rose at any point where she wasn't already at.
I guess I just feel like, since that is literally all they did in The Last Jedi, is just insert Rose and not actually come up with like an elegant way of writing her into the story. They could have tried to do that in this film, but
So that we could have all hated it.
I mean,
So damned if they do, damned if they don't. at
I mean,
this
yeah,
point?
I mean, kind of. I mean, that is this entire series. That is this
the curse
entire
of Star Wars
That
at
is
this
this
point.
entire
Well, and
trilogy.
that's the curse of having two different directors. And we talked
Exactly.
about this when we talked about
Yeah.
1 to 2, from
Yep.
from 7 to 8, is
Yeah.
that J.J. Abrams was like, "Here's these characters," and Ryan Johnson was like, "No, fuck you, no."
Yeah.
They basically got handed the characters back, and J.J. Abrams was like, well, I
Well,
don't
fucking-
want these ones.
Yeah,
These
I
are
mean,
yours.
That's that is the, I think the main crime of this film is that it wasn't just like oh, okay, so I now have a very different starting point than I was personally planning on having if I was going to write this film. Okay, well now let me try to like create some narrative through.
Like, I hard
J.J.
wanted
Abrams.
this.
Yeah, J.J. Abrams literally was just like, oh yeah, Last Jedi. No, that didn't happen. That didn't exist. That's not my Star
So what
Wars.
I think is really funny about this trilogy is that the narrative through line of this trilogy is that they ignore each other.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, setting-
Both in, as far as the directors and the script, and also the characters.
Just the movies in general.
which is why, like,
One to the next, just ignore.
setting aside the quality of the films, I think this might be the worst trilogy of all time.
Yeah.
Like, there are movies, like, also take the Matrix trilogy. Like, the second and third Matrix movies are atrociously god awful. Yeah. But you can see,
I like the second one.
like, you can see the A, B, and C of where the story is going from each one.
Yeah.
Whereas this, every movie is an A to Z in each individual
Every film kind of is
The
its own
original
starting point.
trilogy did not flow super well.
No, that's true.
The original trilogy did not.
characters did, though.
Your one through line was that they needed to beat Vader all 3 times.
Yeah.
And then the Emperor. That was your through line.
They all had a common villain, which I guess technically
And the characters
we have
did
with,
flow well, but again, we had the same writer, the same director. Well,
yeah.
Ish.
unofficially.
Not on the
We had
second
this-
one.
Yeah,
Different director.
unofficially. But
I don't know, but that's
through them, we had the same writer through them. We
Yeah.
had a same producer, if not director.
Yeah.
Through them, he oversaw everything.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
That is the
Is
difference.
that
Absolutely.
they did not
One key vision
Yep.
to get you through.
and they just didn't communicate that, and that's you
No.
know. But the fact that the movies are very separate entities.
Yeah.
So was the original trilogy, and we love that, and that's part of why I think I love it so much is that I didn't it. The 5 is not. It's not a beam. It's not a second movie in a trilogy. It's not. Well, we started this adventure and we're not going to finish it till movie 3. So
Yeah.
what the fuck are we doing in the middle here? It's not a walk through fucking Middle Earth. It is its own movie and it's in and of itself.
And you're referring to Empire Strikes Back?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I agree. I totally agree with what you've like said about like having like a common writing, a common writer, a common director, a common producer. I think that for me, the only difference is that when I look at a trilogy, I normally assume that the first film will, in a sense, kind of be its own standalone film. Mm-hmm. I feel like we had that with Force Awakens. It has its own beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, I mean, we're left with some questions, obviously, but if it was any other film without the assurance that we would be getting a sequel, it's fine. With Empire Strikes Back, that whole film sets up, I believe, the conflict of Return of the Jedi.
Really? Because the whole Jabba... Joshua and I rewatched this today, actually.
Yeah.
The whole Jabba scene sets up anything for 6? No, not at all.
Remind me, Jabba was in the original A New Hope,
No.
like way
No.
back when, or
No.
that was shoehorned in?
That was added
That's-
in later.
that's
Shoehorned in. No,
Interesting.
he's not there.
Yeah.
The whole conflict with Jabba happens in 5.
Yeah.
And it's slightly set
In-
up, but not
yeah,
really.
6.
And in 6.
Yeah.
It's
Ish.
just,
Well, so
it's
and
just
that's
not. They do flow, but they are very they are no Lord of the Rings. They are
No.
think about trilogies.
I mean, I guess for me, like the Jabba, the opening of Jabba is kind of its own side quest, to put it inelegantly. And honestly, I think that only serves to show that there has been a time gap, and that Luke has gone from being like an apprentice to like a Jedi Master. But then still the conflict with like the Emperor, like our main big bad, was introduced in
Empire Strikes Back.
Empire Strikes Back. And I feel like that is what this film is missing. Like knowing that we're leading to a certain conflict, that's missing from The Last Jedi. And I think that was probably the most damning move that Rian Johnson did for this trilogy, and that he basically took Snoke, a character that we were very interested in, and offed him. And again, this movie does serve to, again, retcon that, but there is just nowhere really for this film to naturally go, I guess. Which for me is why it feels so disjointed.
Yeah. I would also like to just remind everyone that this is actually a sequel to the, what was it, Shaky Acres region in Fortnite. Because they had the Millennium Falcon land there.
Did they?
And broadcast.
Yeah.
So
God damn it.
they actually broadcast in the opening crawl for Rise of Skywalker, they have the dead speak.
Yeah.
But if you played Fortnite on the special event, you actually got to hear the monologue that was broadcast because they recorded it. But J.J. Abrams was like,
wait.
no, we're not going to use it. But so
a canon fucking piece of Star Wars was given to us out of film in fucking Fortnite.
Yeah.
I want to stand up and kick myself in the fucking head. That is the stupidest. Sorry. That is fine. I'm sure people like Fortnite, but you're wrong.
Yeah, so that leads me to
Overwatch. Overwatch is a better game. Fuck Fortnite.
two characters that I think we can talk about at the same time because they are essentially one character split into two acting parts.
Yeah.
That don't really serve either one very well, particularly one that I'm fond of. As much as I love Richard E. Grant,
Oh, Pain, right?
Pride,
General Pride.
I don't know why they wrote his character into this movie. Like, nothing that happens in here is better for him to do it rather than letting Hux be the
It's
bad guy.
because they were fucking done with Hux.
Because they
Don
needed.
Gleason was like, "You're getting 3 days of recording, then I'm fucking out."
I think this is where we're going. But if we're going to talk about characters in this film that really got the bottom of the barrel, Hux is at the very top. I actually
The top of the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
what did I say?
That's what you said.
You
That's what you
literally
said.
said that.
The top of the bottom of the barrel?
Yes.
Oh, God,
You
I'm
said
a
it
fucking
for
idiot.
characters on the
At
bottom, of the barrel. He's the top.
He's the top.
Well, you fucking know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know he is the first.
He's
in
the
line
alpha of the bottom
for
of the barrel.
Fuck me. Yeah. Yes. There we go.
There you
okay.
go.
I did not mind General Pride,
Kitty Pride.
Kitty Pride, as a character. As a character, it's funny because Hux is the transparent one.
It's translucent.
Fuck me. I don't care. I'm still mad
Words
about.
are hard,
I'm
right?
still mad about Fortnite.
That's what I'm here for. Make
So
everyone mad.
we're gonna skip Harley for a second.
What I will real quick. I just want to hop in. I'm just gonna hop in real quick.
Nope. Go
The
for
thing that really bugged me about the movie is
it
how
grind your gears?
It really grinded my gears.
ground
how
your gears?
how they lit him in his first scene.
Oh, that's
when
awful.
he says, "Yes, Supreme Leader,"
Yeah.
and his like the shadow just like and then he
Illuminating his
walks
eyes.
away, and God, it was
Now,
it bugged me so.
To be
much.
fair, that's the only cinematic trick they used in the entire movie.
That's true.
like, which we'll get into more later. But like, since you brought that up, like, that's one of the other things that I noticed more. So for transparency's sake, I'm the only one that's seen this.
Translucency sick.
Yeah, I've seen
Nailed
this film twice. Everyone else has seen it once, and I'm glad I've seen it twice because
Just saw it. Yeah. It's fresh.
I have some distance between me and my initial
burn it all to the ground feels.
fuming until 2:30 in the morning, tossing and turning, thinking about all the things this movie did to me. But one of the things I did notice this time is that, and I think we've mentioned this a few times, where there are still like cinematic moments they do, film techniques that they use with the cameras and stuff that are interesting, and this does not really have any of that. Except for that one scene, which was terrible.
Because he's in an open hallway.
Yeah.
Why is his face being lit like that?
But yeah, like,
I liked him as an Imperial loyalist. I
Yeah.
don't think they could have done that with Hux, unless they did like a complete ass pull where he's basically been in cahoots with the Emperor the entire time. Again, based on what they did in The Last Jedi, wouldn't make sense narratively.
I really would have liked Kitty Pryde's death scene to be given to Hux, though. Like, to have Hux die like that would have been a fitting end to that character. To have... I mean, he could have been in this, but I feel like... drag it out until...
I was really excited when it turned out he was the spy.
Yeah.
And their reaction to it, I was just so genuine, and I really liked that. And I was like, yeah, I'm on board with Hux being the fucking spy.
Right.
And not because he wants the rebellion, to win, because he's just fucking done with Kylo Ren's shit.
I liked that.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
And then to have them like immediately be like, I found the spy. And I was like, the fuck.
Yeah.
You did. Fuck.
They see, that's the thing that with this film that I'm sure, like, again, just to be completely upfront, like I very much enjoyed this film. I thought it was a good Star Wars film. I walked out feeling happy. I checked all the boxes. And I'm sure that will change the more I talk about it this evening. But
I'm just getting angry.
That's what we're here
By
for.
the way, Harley, I also really, really, really liked this
Yeah.
movie, and I walked away really happy. And
Yeah.
the more I hear these guys talk, the more I'm just like, I fucking am pissed at you people. I'm done.
I
I'm out.
know. I'm sure you.
I don't
and
like this movie any less. I like Josh a little less right now.
See, I think you're. See, you just have. You're just a stronger person than I am, yeah. Because I'm just like, oh, I'm a wilty little flower. My opinions sway with the breeze.
You can impress upon me literally fucking anything.
Yeah. Oh, you want me to eat my fist? I'll do it. Fine. That sounds great. Delicious.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. Don't believe me? Ask the dishes. Sorry. We're talking about Disney stuff today, so I had to. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm going to interrupt you for one more second.
Please go for it.
They start introducing a movie for the previews before the movie,
Yeah.
which, by the way, excuse you.
Oh, Free Guy.
25 million fucking previews before my Star Wars movie started. At one point, Josh was like, "You're only at the halfway point," and both me and Jonathan looked at him and were like,
because they
"You're
played a
kid-
fucking commercial in between the trailers.
Wait, what?
Yeah."
Ew.
And then he was like, "You're
Was
about the halfway point," and we just both looked at him like he was kidding. And then more kept happening. I was like,
It was a
wasn't
lot.
joking. He wasn't joking.
It was a lot of trailers.
But yeah, they start with like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin,
Yeah, from the
Lion King, and I was like, garbage. I haven't seen it. Pretty sure they're both trash.
You didn't like You didn't like Beauty and the Beast?
No, it's trash. And I was
love
like,
those.
oh no, whatever this is, it's not going to be good.
My initial thought when it was like from the studios that brought you like these things, and I was like, oh no, that studio that definitely closed down. But that's just the CG work for.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is going to be rough.
I honestly legitimately thought it was going to be Deadpool, which was funny because then it was Ryan Reynolds. I was like,
then
oh,
it's Ryan
nice.
Deadpool.
Because we're talking about the Free Guy commercial, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But this is Star Wars.
This is
yeah,
Star Wars.
sorry.
Sorry. You're ask the dishes.
I know. And now I've forgotten what I was saying. Oh,
That's okay.
Poe's reaction to Hux being the spy, being like, I knew it. I thought that was fucking hilarious, and that was me.
I knew it. And
Yeah.
then Finn, I did know it. I literally called it 30 seconds before he said it.
Yeah.
And then because I was like, he's gonna shoot the stormtroopers,
Yep.
and then he did, and I was like, yes, I did it.
Yeah.
But Pose, I knew it. And then
I
Finn's,
loved that.
Oh, you didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew it. I knew he was gonna do it too, Poe. I get
Yeah.
you. But I didn't really know he was the spy, but it's fine.
And with that all being said, I think that's another thing that I can forgive this film so much, just because every time they actually have Daisy Ridley, Oscar Isaac, and John Boyega all in the same space, all in the same room
So
together,
great.
it is fucking amazing. I would watch them literally read the phone book. They're
Poe and Ray's fight in the beginning of the film
so
was gold, and Finn
yeah.
just being like, "Friends, play
Guys,
nice.
guys,
guys, play nice, guys,
Yeah.
guys."
I loved it.
Oh, so
and
good.
I think that with that, I will forgive a lot of this film's transgressions, just as far as like basic narrative writing go. So, anyways, for whatever that's worth.
I was bummed about Hux's death, though.
Yeah, right. Like,
Yeah, that bummed me out pretty hard
I
because like
was
it just
so-
happened. And
It just
then
happened
like,
so fast too, and you're like,
but I get why they did
No.
it though, because basically that was the point in time when the film was trying to tell us, playtime's over, fuckers. Now we're getting to the end game.
Domhnall slept with somebody's wife to
Yeah.
steal your joke, so he's out of the fucking movie.
It must have happened. Like, I don't know who he pissed off. Like, I mean, Ryan Johnson like pushed that ball down the hill. But the fact that JJ just kept running with it,
Yeah.
I don't think that JJ ran with it. I honestly think Donald Gleason was like, I'm here for 5 fucking days,
probably,
and then
yeah.
I'm fucking done.
I am done.
yeah. Now,
Yeah.
can I say though, speaking of Endgame, like there was
No, we're talking about Star Wars. Moving on.
We'll talk about Endgame a little bit later on. We're gonna talk about
the film, like the fact that they took it from, it's so dumb, but the fact that they took it from the First Order and they made like the executive action, like the final order. I don't fucking know. Like I know that's cheesy as fuck, but it got me in all the right spots. I was like, ooh, that makes sense narratively.
At least they didn't call it the final solution.
or the final. Oh boy.
So two characters I think we can all agree on. Two of the new characters, Dio and Babu Frick.
Oh, Babu Frick, 100% MVP.
Fucking hell.
I want. He is the next Skywalker saga.
I like that when he first started talking, you have no fucking clue what that guy
No.
is saying at all. And by the end of his scenes, I'm like, I understood that one.
Every time he
Because then
was.
at the end, like all he's just saying is "ha ha."
Oh, yeah. Robot's ready to go.
Every
Droid is ready to
time
go.
he was on screen, the entire theater that I was watching this film on screamed. And I was one of them because he was
So
adorable. I loved his stupid little voice. I love that he's just a tiny little guy. And he was
Who does his voice? I
he
don't
was
know.
voiced
Got it?
by I just had it up. It's
Shirley Henderson.
Shirley Henderson, who did the voice of Moaning Myrtle in the Harry Potter films, which I've only watched in the last 2 or 3 years. So I know things.
You know things. And then Dio was just,
Dumb. That's what the D stands for.
what?
What?
Oh, Harley.
Coming in hard.
I'm going to throw a fork at your head.
I just didn't need another BB-8. I loved BB-8.
A tinier BB-8.
He really
They can
liked it.
say words.
I liked him
Weird,
because I
full,
needed-
weird man words. Like those are for man.
Here.
Those are for men.
I really
Dio.
liked him because I felt like Ray was going through such a. This was a rough movie for Ray's character,
Totally.
and then to have her be able to like put that away for a second and
Yeah.
just focus all of her love and energy to this little tiny droid who was abused and that she just needed to take care of was like
I
I
think
loved it. I
what
loved it, and I liked his little words because it was just sad.
happy. So sad.
Happy. No, thank you. My favorite was no, thank you.
like the no,
Was
thank
the
you.
No, thank you.
The no thank you is fine.
No bound. Nope. I need boundaries. No, thank you.
Very much reminded me of Bennett. Just
Yeah.
being like, no touch.
Because our toddler,
No touchy, please.
we have taught our toddler boundaries,
Yeah.
and that if he does not want to be touched or he doesn't want to touch people, he doesn't have to. And so he says no, thank you for touch and no touch.
Yeah. Get out of here, cat.
So it did remind me.
The
of
funny thing about Dio is I honestly, for me personally, like it sounds like I am in the minority here. I don't think he wasn't a necessary addition. I do like what he contributed. The one thing that was funny is that they almost used Dio to give like BB-8 like a surprisingly like resonant arc.
He just got a friend.
Well, no, because Rey heals the snack, the big old snack.
Yeah, a snake.
The snake.
The big old
It's a
snack.
snake.
So,
Go to snack.
as my
old
wife
snake.
aptly put, we found out that Ray's a parcel tongue. I think that joke's hilarious. I don't care. I spat out Guinness on myself at the theater because she's really funny and smart. But Ray says
Good job, Kari.
to BB-8, she's like, if you were in my, I gave him a little bit of my Jedi or my Force, life Force, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she says to BB-8, I'm sure if you were in that same position, you would do it too. And what does BB-8 do? But turns around and literally,
Gives some little love to this little droid.
yeah, plugs him in and literally gives him some of his power and revives this little droid. And I was like, oh fuck, that's poetic.
It is. It was
Like
really
what
cute.
the hell? Like why am I getting misty
Why
about?
am I crying right now?
Yeah,
with the fucking little droid?
really dumb, like really unearned, but fucking got me right in the man ovaries, the movaries.
The ovaries. I
Yeah.
also really liked that at one point Poe goes to talk about him and he's like, oh, Conehead, and they're like, his name's Dio, and he's like, oh, okay, Dio. I'm like, oh, okay, then I will use your proper pronouns and your proper name. And I
Right?
was like,
Nice.
thank you.
Yeah, right. Goddamn Star Wars partially.
I also have been reading a webtoon.
SJWs out of my fucking Star Wars.
Dio voiced by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Oh, was
and others, right?
Doesn't say
No.
it.
They
Just J.J.
I
Abrams.
was,
JJ.
I was reading on IMDb.
Well, that makes me
but it was like,
happy.
happy.
The only thing that I will say is that I think there's a moment.
Only would have made me happier if it was YTT. I can't ever say this.
Taika Waititi.
Thank you,
And by
Taika
performed by, you mean the puppet?
Fuck.
Hey,
got him. Got him.
There was a moment in the movie where I
Here we
think
go.
it was supposed to be shut the fuck up. That was supposed to be like
Sorry.
kind of like a little bit of a tear jerk moment, and then you literally have him say sad. It's like,
Oh, when
ugh.
because he's like,
yeah, with-
she's gone, and Finn's like, yeah, and he's like, I miss her, and he's like, I miss her too. This is sad.
No, wasn't that at the C-3PO when he gets turned off?
I almost
When he's like, I'm just
Yeah,
taking
that's when
one
he says
final look
sad.
at my
Yeah, that's what he
friends,
yeah.
This is
which was
sad.
kind of silly. Like, I got
The 3PO thing did not get me misty.
It didn't get me
I
misty.
It
thought
didn't
it
get
was
me
going
misty,
to.
but that's because it was in the preview. If it had not been in a preview, that might have gotten me a little.
But
Yeah.
then they drop. They do this a couple of times where they
Yeah.
take a really emotional moment and then they drop a joke in the middle of it,
They
kind of like undercut the
Severity of it.
Yeah.
They MCU'd it
a little bit.
every time that we get like a deeply resonant and potentially dark moment. They kind of were like, but joke.
Yeah.
Don't be sad. I have a joke for you.
I have a joke. I think that with C-3PO, the reason it got me in the trailer. Like when you just see him plugged into something, you're like, no, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah.
thought he was gonna die.
Yeah, I almost kind of wish that he would have.
Again,
Yeah.
they killed a character only to not kill a character.
Only to not kill.
Yeah.
Only to have R2 be like, nah,
Oh,
bro,
no,
I
no
got
worry,
you.
bro.
But
But I found that funny
No.
because C-3PO is like, R2's memory banks are super unreliable.
Yeah.
And then R2's like, fuck you, bitch, I got this right here for you.
Like, yeah, and again, like another Chekhov's gun where it's like they literally spoke about the memory bank, and of course, then R2D2 like reprograms him. And I actually liked the smash cut of C-3PO being like, I will not
"Excuse
let
me,
you
you're not gonna
not
let-
cut to yeah, like that made me laugh, but.
I liked it because it's just such a sassy R2 moment of
Yeah.
being like, no.
Yeah, no,
of course
no.
I've got it.
Sit
Yeah.
down. Sit
out
down.
of my face.
Sit down. I'm gonna plug my thing into your face.
Yeah.
Wait.
Wait.
Wait a minute. R2.
So yeah, I think we got knocked out all the droids there in that one.
Bless.
I definitely, though, thought R2 was going to shut down when Leia died.
A little bit.
I thought that because he's like doing his little shake thing, I thought he was just going to shut down and then R2 was going to be done.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be the end of R2 was Leia's death.
Oof. Are we prepared to talk about
Nope.
that?
Nope. Keep going for a minute. I'm not
Okay.
ready to cry again yet. Continue.
Checks out.
We'll get. I'm trying to do it on like by screen time and importance to the series a little bit.
I feel like we're actually doing pretty good as far as like moving down through the cast.
Yeah.
We
We're
never
definitely tangenting.
get. Yeah. well, but we never get back to the character.
Yeah. No, we're definitely making sure that we're going down on the cast with this one.
Yeah. So this is kind of a group of characters that I was excited for from the trailers because they had implied that they were going to do something, and I was like, "Ooh, we're going to see it happen." And then for like, there's like 10 scenes where you're like, "Ooh, is this when it's going to happen?"
Nope.
So the Knights of Ren are in this film,
Knights of Ren are
Are
in this
they,
film,
though?
which
And-
I forgot.
and they keep popping up like immediately behind the main characters, and then they
Yeah.
disappear. And I was like, "What?
That
why
was
the
one
fuck
of
do
the
they keep
things
doing this?"
that I noticed about it is that they kept doing the thing where like the main character's like, okay, we got this, everybody good, let's go do the thing, and then they just have the shot linger and then have them pop up.
Yeah.
Have it be their ship in the asteroid belt.
Yeah.
Have it be them coming around the corner on the planet's that's name I cannot remember.
Three-Tween, we'll call it
Tatooine.
the third Tatooine in the series.
Except it was a snow Tatooine.
Oh
No,
ish?
that was a desert planet.
Was it?
The first one that they go to?
I mean, it was at the one where they run into Carrie Russell.
Well, they do it. They do it. The
No.
first time they do it is when
Oh, that's
they're
right,
at,
on-
Peepoon Dakusa, whatever the fuck that alien's name is.
Right. Pee pee poo poo.
I don't think he has any lines, so I don't think he's going to be on the MDB page. But when they get to his ship,
Yeah, that's right. They're just there.
Finn is there. Like Finn walks around the
5
corner.
feet.
Yeah, and I'm just like, are they going to fight him? And then they just disappear from the movie for
Yeah.
the next 10 minutes.
I mean, I guess the only thing I didn't mind so much about.
And
Go for it.
also, just really quickly, if they had done like Boba Fett,
Yeah.
where they were the reason something happened, I've been like, oh, so they're following them,
Yes.
leading. but everywhere they go, the First Order's already there anyway.
Well, I kind of feel like that was that. At least for me, I read into them being the ones that subdued Chewie, which, as we've seen, is not an easy task. So at least for me, that got like a little bit of payoff.
Sure, he was also surrounded by 20 dudes, so he's
Yeah.
probably like, you know what? Not gonna fight my way out of
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
I guess because I had that thought, like at that point, like we'd already seen them a couple times, just like sneaking around corners and being like, so I guess I forgave that. But yeah, that when they were on the snow planet,
The Kerry Russell
the
planet.
Carrie Russell planet, yeah, that
They just come around a corner and it's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
This is it.
I felt like they were meant to be like what kept tipping Kylo off to where Rey was.
I
'cause
guess.
they're supposed to be following her, and they do. Sometimes you like, oh, we got word that she's on this planet.
But it's never them.
No.
You literally see a stormtrooper be like, I spotted the blah, blah, blah. They're
Yeah.
on the thing.
So
and
it's
then,
never them, but I think that's what they were meant to be doing. But also, then why? But no, because Kylo's got it's got the Force connection with Rey, and that's
Yeah.
what's tipping him off where the fuck she is most of the
Yeah.
time.
I guess they were just trying to demonstrate that they were like,
constantly one step behind.
well, constantly. I mean, yes, but that basically they were like Kylo's henchmen, I guess, or if anything, like maybe they were trying to present them as like his equals. I don't know.
Maybe-
But in the end, I don't feel like they were, and so maybe
No,
they
well,
were
they-
meant to just be the Emperor's spies.
Maybe I don't know.
Maybe, or I feel like they were there to
Sell toys.
Yeah,
sell toys, maybe,
Yeah.
but I feel like they were also there to like give us a visual representation of no matter where they run, they will be tracked.
There
but
is
they keep
someone.
running to places that the First Order already is.
yeah, because they're everywhere right now.
because they're everywhere. So like that doesn't even track.
Yeah.
So, like,
I was kind of surprised that when they got to the snow planet, it was already like overrun
yeah.
by
Well, they were
stormtroopers.
just like they were. I think they had just freshly showed up on that planet to do a raid to get kids.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Because they literally said we need to build our forces.
Yeah.
Ah.
And so I think they had just been like,
No, and
surprise, motherfucker.
Yeah, and that's literally the scene right before. Interesting. No, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I think that.
especially when you listen to the mom screaming, "No, don't take her!"
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Because
Yeah.
it's a little girl they're trying to take.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that again. The only seeing this film once that definitely slipped. That definitely slipped past me.
Yeah. And then
I feel like the scene that they're really in though was pretty fucking cool. Like that paid it off for me. We could have just had like the intro when they're walking through, like when they're walking to that meeting, and then just not had them in the rest of the film, and then had them in that last fight scene with Ben.
which my main problem with that scene is the other half of that, but we'll get to that when we
Yeah.
get to that character.
Sounds good.
Let's see. Who else we got here?
We can do. Can I throw out a real fun one real quick? Because I saw him when we were in the movie, and then
All right, we're back.
is oh my god, I missed him. Where did he go? Crap. I want to say his name is David Lawson. Who played
Wedge.
Yeah, Wedge Antilles.
Wedge
He
Antilles
pops
shows
up.
back for a line.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed that.
That's probably the best of the cutaways from that scene.
Yeah.
Like the Kerry Russell one didn't work at all because she wasn't a character that I cared about. So I wasn't like, oh, thank God she's here.
She didn't get blown up on that planet
Oh.
that I don't care about.
Who's Wedge?
Wedge is one of he from the original trilogy. He's just a pilot who's constantly there on all of the squads with Luke.
Yeah. I think he's usually the only one on camera that usually makes it out.
That makes it out of every battle.
Yeah.
yeah. And he popped up in this movie as the gunner on the Falcon with Lando.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
that's right. Because he said that was some nice flying, Lando.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that must have been. I thought I saw him and I was like, oh, that's one of the old resistance fighters. Okay, I got it.
Which I don't know. I wonder how much money they had to throw at him because he did not want to come back.
Really?
He hates Star Wars like more than anybody. Yeah.
More than Harrison Ford. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because they tried to get him back, I want to say for the prequels or The Force Awakens or both. And he was like, no, fuck you. I'm not coming back.
Oh, fun fact about him as well. Ewan McGregor's uncle.
Yeah. And he was actually the one Ewan McGregor's like, hey, I'm going to be in that Star Wars movie like you were. And he was like, don't fucking do those movies. So
Who?
Dennis
Robot
Lawson.
racist.
Dennis Lawson, thank you.
Wedge Antilles.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
Yeah. He pops up in here.
Is Robot Racist his uncle?
Yeah. If
No,
he...
he's Ewan McGregor's uncle.
I know. Sorry, Ewan
Ewan
McGregor.
McDonald.
I love your absolute wonderful, gorgeous face. You are not a robot racist.
Love him
I
so
think.
much.
if they had given Wedge some of Kerry Russell's screen time during that segment, I think that would have
That'd
been
been
a little bit better. Like,
Yeah.
maybe give him another line, maybe show him actually shooting something.
Yeah.
You get a quick shot of his face, which, yeah, it's cool, but again, taking away screen time from the legacy characters to give to characters that serve no purpose in the film is kind of like, really? Do we gotta do that way?
Totally.
Really quickly, I think she did a good job here. Like, can't imagine how you would include. I think we kind of mentioned her a little bit, but Maz Kanata is in here for a few scenes.
Yeah.
I can always take more Lupita Nyong'o.
I was gonna say Lupita can be in everything.
Yeah.
I wanted so
She
much
can-
more.
can
And I
see her
also
face,
wanted to
I can
know
hear her voice. I don't even care. I just want some Lupita.
I wanted to know what the hell she was doing in The Last Jedi. Because she was like fighting, she was like in the middle of some badass gunfight.
Well, I think we talked about this on the group chat, but I think it's confirmed now that Maz Kanata is a union buster, which is unfortunate, but because she was doing union dispute
Oh, that's right.
in The Last Jedi, which
That's true.
If you're the owner of a
Yeah.
of a business and you have union dispute, probably not on the right side of that one.
Probably not so much.
So
No.
Hey, we all got to have a day job. So
but she's good in this. She's
Yeah.
essentially since you don't have the real Carrie Fisher doing real lines, she's kind of like she anchors the emotional weight of
yeah.
kind of passing the General Leia torch.
Yeah.
When they have to stop using the lines that they've recorded previously from
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher. So so I think all around she's good people.
She's
Yeah.
good.
In this, we kind of
For the scenes that she was in, I was very much just like, yes, more of this, please.
yeah. There is some scuttlebutt online that as far as like as far as canon goes, when at the end of the film when she gives Chewbacca the medal, because in A New Hope,
Are they girlfriend boyfriend at this point?
probably not.
Because she likes that Chewie.
Oh,
Yeah.
she down for that, Chewie.
Yeah.
They kind of that's the one thing from The Force Awakens that J.J. Abrams ignored.
Yeah.
But yeah, when she gives Chewie the medal from A New Hope, I think it was fine. Like I know that they've retconned it in the comics or whatever that he actually did get a medal. They just didn't film it. He got like the technical
yeah.
award later on.
Well, you know what? He's
fucking
got it on film now.
They slide
Good
Yeah.
job,
Chewie. Yeah. Well, what is it in like the Star Wars Legends that he has the medal now? Or
I think it was like one of the comics. Like they've retconned it, but like I don't read the comics, so like that means nothing to me.
Yeah.
yeah.
So actually
Him
seeing
actually
him get
being
it,
handed the medal that
Yeah.
he was supposed to get from on Yavin.
yeah,
And then
Makes
in
me
literally
happy.
the very final scene of the film, besides like the prologue, him basically just like waving the medal above it. I
was
fucking
gonna
love
say
that.
him in the background being like, "I
Yeah.
got my
I
goddamn medal."
I love that. shit.
happens to also be what Leia was holding, wasn't it?
yeah.
When she's we're not there. Nope.
Nope.
Mm-mm,
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Bogus.
Another character that's not in it very much, and I think 60% of his lines are kind of J.J. Abrams' apology to everyone that didn't like The Last Jedi, which I kind of didn't like. But Mark Hamill returns as Luke Skywalker, who was like,
Yeah.
fuck you, never throw a lightsaber, you fucking monsters. That's paraphrase. That was kind of like an eye roll line.
I liked it. I did. I liked it. I liked that it's Luke being like, "Hey, be better than me.
Yeah.
Do better than me." And that's because that's what I caught it as. Is it was Luke being like, "I taught you better. Do better than me. Let's go."
I didn't teach you better, but do better than me.
Yeah.
They did retcon some more knowledge that they now said that they knew the whole time. That it kind of leads into one of my bigger problems with the movie. I don't like when it's not so bad when it's a side character, But anytime you have a character that has a large amount of screen time, and at the end of the movie or at an end of an arc, they're like, "I knew it the whole time," and you're like, "Fuck you, movie."
What the hell? Then why didn't you show
her
me?
background.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like,
Yeah,
Ray,
he
we've
knew
known
he-
it all along.
We
And
knew
I was
you were
just like,
Palpatine. So did
really?
yeah. Like,
I mean,
did
considering
you know
that
she
it's
was a Palpatine, or did you
Yeah.
just know that she was somebody extremely strong with the Force?
considering like the entire arc of all three trilogies really is like the importance is really talking about the importance of like where you came from and of lineage, even though I was a little sad that that became the importance of this new trilogy as well. Like you'd think that someone would have mentioned it.
By importance of lineage, how so do you mean?
Okay, so let's unpack. One of my favorite things about The Last Jedi was the fact that one of the big plot twists that we got was that
Rey's parents were nobody.
was nobody.
They were nobody.
They were nobodies. They were drunks. They sold her for basically beer money.
Yeah.
And that was the entire, at least for me, that was the entire emotional through line and takeaway of The Last Jedi that this movie completely jettisoned. In that,
Yeah. It does not matter who you are.
doesn't matter who you are.
Does not matter where you come from.
Does not matter where you come
if
from.
you are strong with the Force, you are strong with the Force, and that is great.
Exactly.
Which is why we all love Bro Kid.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, again, this film did exactly, I think what Josh said. Like, it had its cake and also chose to eat it and then made another one. In that it basically took that from Rey, in that, again, she was a Palpatine all along. She wasn't a clone.
We're gonna get into that.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. She was a Palpatine all along, thus cementing the fact that this entire series of trilogies it's all chosen one fan fiction. It's all basically saying that you were born to be important, but then I think they did a little bit of a course correction in that they give Finn the ability to also be force sensitive. And,
Which we'll get into that when we get
I
into
was
his
just
character.
because you just totally started running away with my Rey argument.
Yeah.
So my thing about Rey, again, spoilers, everybody.
Spoilers. Are we just getting into the Rey conversation now? Because
No, I want to save that
I was
towards.
gonna say I'm pretty
Sorry.
sure we're saving that.
Yeah, we can
so
save it. We can
just
save
my
it.
my real quick thing, and it's not about
Real quick
Rey
tangent.
specifically, but it's about kind of the movie's overall theme. Is
Yeah.
a little bit of something that I think we had talked about previously. One of our theories was that the movie was going to be, if she was somehow tied to Palpatine, that it wasn't. That yes, sure, you can say it's all legacy or whatever, but it also very much is the idea of don't worry about where you came from.
Yeah.
Just worry about you.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't make you who you are.
That is what this film, and like at the very end, literally like the last 5 minutes, finally I think accepts and pays off. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the overarching thing with this movie that I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
I like that you're doing that.
Same.
Thank you.
If they had done it from the beginning, that would have been better.
Likewise.
The fact that
Fair.
they leave it to an almost in the first 5 minutes of the movie retcon is like it was just like the whiplash of that.
Yeah.
Of like again like towards my argument that these are not a good trilogy. Like the individual films, you can argue the quality of, but like as a trilogy,
they're good movies, but as one cohesive story,
you get whiplash of
Yeah.
going, ooh, who is Rey? Oh, she's nobody. She just has the Force and she's this cool new character. To no, she's a Palpatine.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know. We'll get into that a little bit more.
I feel like this film is like the difference. Like watching the trilogies is kind of like the difference between watching something that was released all at once and was meant to be binged versus watching something that is released episodically. I feel like these films were meant to be like their own kind of separate events, and that I think watching them all together will be a little bit jarring. I'm interested to see like how time reflects people's opinions of these films. But
Yeah.
Anyways.
Going back to Luke though, really fast.
Yeah.
I really liked watching him force lift. Him
Oh.
being a force ghost. First off, I was just really excited that we were like, "Yay, force ghosts are really
Yeah.
things this time!" Woo! And then watching him force lift his old TIE fighter
Totally.
out of the water made me
X-Wing.
real happy. Thank you, X-wing, not TIE fighter. X-wing. He's a good guy, and that's an X-wing.
Actually, that is a.
Okay, sorry. I am just trying to avoid that happening to all of us later.
I know.
Yeah.
That checks
Him
out.
pulling out his X-wing. Thank you, husband. Pulling out.
I mean,
his,
technically, lifting up. His
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Sorry.
uh,
hang on, we're gonna go murder Harley.
Yeah,
we'll be right back.
murder train.
But yes, no, that was extremely powerful.
I
and
liked watching him do that.
likewise,
Made me
yeah.
happy.
That
Made me happy. I also really liked, and we talked about already that. Oh, did we talk about it on the podcast or was it not on the podcast?
What's this?
The flashback? Was that on the podcast?
no, it was not.
No.
Okay, so I really like a part. Speaking of Luke and Luke's story to Rey, getting to see Leia was
Yes.
actually Jedi trained, and I
Yes.
was like, "Hell yeah!"
She
my
had a
girl was
fucking
Jedi
lightsaber.
trained. I know.
She-
I was
yeah.
so excited about
No,
it.
that
I was real stoked on that.
very much
knowledge.
screamed.
That,
yeah.
So that was another thing that
I'm pretty sure my arms literally did the yes
Yeah.
motion in the
Hell yeah.
theater.
As they
up
should.
until the very the last few couple minutes of this movie, I was very salty about something about that. Maybe
Don't
are
worry.
we?
It happened and it's fine.
What?
I said, "Don't worry though, because it happened and it's fine."
It happened and it's fine. I'm just mad that this entire trilogy, again up until the last 5 minutes, is just like, do you like lightsabers? They only come in blue flavor.
Yeah.
And green
Does it?
For that one scene.
for that one scene.
Oh, you mean
Luke's
Luke's
in the
lightsaber that
flashback.
that he built before Return of the Jedi, so that
Yeah.
it would make sense time wise for him to have it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But every lightsaber, from,
Everything
like,
else is blue. Yeah.
everything else is blue.
So
Up until
I'm just gonna say Mace Windu had a purple one.
Got that purple drink
They also come in red.
and gold now, which is fun.
that is what I was excited
So
about.
Yeah.
was it gold or was it just because? So we've talked about this with Rogue One that Jyn had a kyber crystal
Yeah.
on her necklace. That took me until recently to realize that it was a kyber crystal, and I got really excited about it. But her
But was
kyber-
it explicitly stated as a kyber crystal?
No, it wasn't. But it's definitely what it's meant to be.
Sorry,
Jesus
just
Christ.
busy over here dunking on Johnny.
But her kyber
Love
crystal was
you.
clear.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of like, are kyber crystals clear or do they come in colors? And that's what causes the color in the lightsaber. So was hers gold or was it clear color? And it's a shot. It's a ray of light.
Yeah, because
Ray.
canonically,
A ray of light.
yeah. Better aim for the elbow.
that was the
God
worst
damn it.
high five.
That was for you, Instagram. Instagram?
Instagram, yeah.
It's green.
I think canonically the like rarest form of kyber crystal is like a black kyber crystal, which is why there is like one black bladed lightsaber in
Yeah.
existence.
Ooh, who said black?
speaking of kyber crystals,
Oh,
Really hurt.
they must have found a fuck ton somewhere because
Yeah.
every 3,000 Star Destroyers with a
With a Death
Death
Star
Star
cannon.
Yeah.
which
No. Not a Death Star cannon.
I mean it's essentially the Death Star on every ship.
But I don't think what did they didn't have a kyber crystal on Starkiller Base. It took
That
the power
used the
of
power of the sun.
The power of the sun.
Yes.
Yeah, so what were
This,
these guys
being a
using?
Sith-related thing, they would use a kyber crystal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Like the
on
Death Star.
It was on a Sith home planet, so I'd imagine they were probably amassing a couple.
Just like the entire core of that planet is nothing but like
Probably. That would
maybe.
actually make a lot of sense
Yeah.
that they were.
they were mining.
So we had talked about that scene. We'll do a brief tangent because there aren't any really characters related to this.
Yeah.
Because it's more of like a visual thing. But we had talked about how cool that image was.
do it.
And it was a cool image.
What was?
The Star
All the Star
Destroyers
Destroyers,
coming out of
like-
the ice, except for it was nowhere near what it pretended it was gonna be in the preview.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of confusing because like they show them in the air all lined up,
Yeah.
but the climax of the movie depends on them still being down like towards
Near
the planet.
Earth and not all the way up.
So I
in
was like,
space.
maybe that was just a force vision or something. Yeah. But anyway, like
Well, I think they were because like some of them had already deployed.
one of them did, yeah.
A few, because I mean, we saw like three
we
or
saw
four
them going
crashing.
down.
yeah.
So I mean, I think that was probably just more and more of them coming out of the planet. Maybe I don't know. It was
Wasn't
very
as cool. It was
It was
very
nebulous.
quick.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was not as cool as hell.
And it's also undercut by a really cheesy monologue that's going on over top of that.
Yeah.
Which was like, one of my less favorite parts of this movie is you're having this really kind of bad monologue going over top of this. I was like, oh, it looks cool, but I'm having to listen to a character that we're going to get to in a second.
Yeah.
Which kind of undercuts how cool that image is.
Yeah.
By the way, when we were talking about
I
Luke,
love.
I was talking about the flashback scene, and
Oh, yeah.
Mark Hamill looked real good.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker looked great.
Carrie Fisher looked less great.
Carrie Fisher's looked a little uncanny valley, but I think it's because they actually had Billy Lord as a stand-in and didn't like do a complete like facial overlay.
All I gotta say is we got how much film of this woman?
Yeah.
From the 70s. Like, let's just grab one of those really fast, clean it up a bit, and throw
Copy
it in there.
and paste.
Which that scene kind of
Didn't need to be in there.
well.
Rude.
I like-
Yes, it
I would
did.
have liked
I liked
more
it.
of it, actually.
Yeah.
Really?
I would have liked
Yes,
to.
more story.
That's my whole thing about this trilogy has been how did we get to where this is now?
Show, don't
Yeah.
tell.
And like that's kind of like the disappointing thing of this whole trilogy.
She's just like, I wanted to see her have this this force vision of her life and what her force using was going to be like, and I wanted to see. And while I love Luke being in it and Luke telling me, I would have loved to have seen that. And I realized that we had
They
an
would have had
issue.
to Tarkin the fuck out of that.
Yes,
Well,
and
see, and
like I said,
that's my
I
thing.
realized we had an issue and that we
Yeah.
couldn't. But if you were gonna put this in your third movie, why couldn't you put it in your first movie?
Yeah.
And like I know it would have been really disappointing because it would have if they had started this in like 1990 and they had given us that trilogy
Yeah.
of the first movie is Luke and Leia starting the Jedi Academy, Kylo Ren doing his thing, us understanding fuck all about who Kylo Ren is as a character at any point in this fucking trilogy because it changes from movie to movie because at one point he's a conflicted guy.
Okay, breathe.
And then the next film,
we're getting back.
he's
We're
the
gonna do this
big
again.
bad, and then the third film,
We're gonna
who
do-
knows what the fuck is happening?
We're gonna
but
get back to it. It's okay. Breathe.
the
You're
first,
not wrong though.
the first movie in the next trilogy. I want to know. I want to see that. I want to understand who these characters are.
Yeah.
Like, especially because like, so you can say we didn't understand who Darth Vader was, and that's true. But Darth Vader wasn't a protagonist the way Kylo Ren has been in these films.
Correct.
Kylo Ren is a protagonist of this movie, even if he's the bad guy or God forbid becomes a good guy that everyone
I
loves.
mean, he gets the girl.
Fuck you.
Fuck you.
But like, and I had said this during the trailer breakdown, whereas if he was just the bad guy and he was just an asshole, and that explains why Snoke turned him, but to not understand any of what his motivation is
Yeah.
at any point in this series, I think is the weakest part because
Totally.
the most interesting story is how actually watching someone go in a good way that is actually made by people that understand human emotions. How someone goes from the light side to the dark side.
Yeah.
Because we got that in the prequels.
Did we?
Very poorly.
Yeah, it was those fucking grains of sand.
That's
Which-
everything. Just all
Ground
up in
him
his
from the
butthole.
light to the dark side.
Yeah. But like
Grains of sand definitely grind down my dark side.
the
if you know what I'm saying.
flashbacks
Heyo.
from The Last Jedi
Yeah.
and this
Yeah.
should have been the totality of the first movie.
Absolutely.
The second movie, you introduce your new characters, Finn and Rey, as okay, we've taken the established characters. We've introduced some new elements. Now we're going to expand the universe. And then in this last one, you tie everything together in a way that makes sense. But instead, since they waited too long, and like I know a 1991 Star Wars would have been fucking atrocious.
Yeah.
Because the 90s were
Would have been fucking extreme,
They
bro.
all would have been wearing like Jenkos and
just slamming a pib.
slamming.
yeah.
But so here's the thing, Josh. If they were to do that, then what are they going to do with the next trilogy? You don't want to give that all away because now they're going to do the prequel trilogy to A Force Awakens.
Starring Sebastian Stan as Luke Skywalker.
Yeah,
Fucking give me it.
Which I would watch.
Yes.
No, and a heartbeat.
Yes.
The Adventures of fucking Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
Give me Disney Plus.
Give me that Shadow of the Empire
Yep.
bullshit
Yeah.
to my eyes.
Right
Because
to
like
the
there's
eyeballs.
Shadow of the Empire. They had Jedi Academy, which starred
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker, and this is why I'm glad they didn't do it in the 90s because they did Jedi Academy in the 90s, and the Han Solo and Princess Leia's son was called Jason with a C. Because it was the 90s, every guy was named Jason back in the 90s. That was every cool guy was named Jason.
Is it Jay? Is it Jason?
All the girls were named Brittany and all the boys were named Jason.
And then the sister was named
Also Disney.
Unappreciated Disney. Love it.
Elena. It was, I think, something like that. And then they had a third son that was a couple years younger. That was Ben Solo. And actually, they
I
had,
know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the old legends, it was Jason that turned to the dark side.
Sorry.
Which
So
was
back
what,
to this movie.
but like that. No,
So
that-
back to Endgame.
yeah. But
Hashtag give me my Mara Jade.
Yep.
I don't care about that. But what I want is what they gave us in the movies, but in a way that actually I understand their arc. But
There was just no common through with Ben, and that
Yeah.
again, there's no common through with any of the films, really.
yeah,
because
which we'll get to like the next. I guess we can do these two together because I think they're together the whole movie pretty much. The first one is there are three people that I think didn't want to be anywhere near this movie. This is the first one. Oscar Isaac as Poe Dameron.
really.
If you watch the interviews that he's done since through like all the
Oh
things,
no, he's very ready
just-
to be done.
he's just like completely dead-eyed stare, and like there's some moments that he gives a really bad performance, which I don't think is something that he can do easily.
Yeah. Well, and I think I don't know if it's him or if it's the writing. Like some
It's
of
both.
the, like again, I think I mentioned this before, but like that last like dogfight scene where he's like giving up. Oh, some of the delivery was fucking woof.
But there's like I said this about the Last Jedi too, is that there's a really good third of the movie.
yeah.
But unfortunately, they did the good third of the really good third of this movie all back to back.
Yeah.
Like the 50 minutes in the middle. And I really liked the what they were doing with it with Finn and Poe and Rey.
Those three, I will watch them.
They had really
watch paint dry.
when they were on screen together, everything was great.
Yeah.
When they're by themselves, it gets a little iffy sometimes. John Boyega does a couple of bad things in this, mostly with his face in reaction shots. There's one early on when he shoots the TIE fighter out of the sky, and he does that.
Yeah.
Where it looks like someone just flashed their titties at him. He's like, ooh. I was like, that's not the appropriate response to murdering somebody. But like, yeah. It was like,
I mean, I think it was like the token, like Millennium Falcon, like woo scene, like, and it just kind of came.
I
Across
think
as
part
being
of
a
it,
little
and I
weird.
can understand why, is that they were a little bit overcompensating, making him look cool because how bad he looked in The Last Jedi, where
How
he
much
was.
he just got dunked on for all of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I mean, and I believe there's interviews of him saying like about The Last Jedi, like screw that movie. Like I went
Basically,
to Disney
he
and
was
was like,
like-
you make Finn
he was
in the film.
He was just very disappointed with the nothing that his character was given to do in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I will say really quick, as far as Poe Dameron's, I actually really liked Poe Dameron just being completely overwhelmed
Yeah.
because there's a million people yelling at
Oh,
him.
did I? I was going to say, Harley, I really disagree with you.
Really?
I thought
I
the
really liked
delivery
that
of him
moment.
giving up. God, I've lived that life, man.
Yeah.
At my job, I have too many people asking me what to do, and I don't know. I don't know.
My only problem with that scene was the crux of it was Greg Grunberg being shot down.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that brought him to be like, I can't fucking do it, guys. I can't fucking do it. We
Maybe
just lost
Greg
Snap.
Grunberg
Yeah.
was his best friend before,
back when he was
Finn and
spice
Rey.
running?
Yeah, maybe that was his
Maybe.
best friend, guys.
I mean,
Calm
they
down.
And I think in The Force Awakens, I mean, if we're to believe that Poe is like instrumental as a pilot, I mean, then him and Grundy would have had a lot of time. I don't fucking know.
Probably.
Solomon Grundy.
Yeah.
Solomon Grundy.
They probably were like best.
Yeah.
They were probably
Yeah.
like.
They're bros. Pilot
I don't know.
bros.
Like I just
It'd be
I-
like Goose losing Maverick. I mean, like, it would've
how-
probably,
That was funny too,
dare
though.
you. Oh wait, that does happen.
Where he shoots up into the sky and he hits his head on the canopy. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought the delivery was great.
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
He looked like
I don't
he
know.
was overwhelmed.
He
and
looks
was
like an
yeah,
overwhelmed person
yeah, bro,
who was like,
feel
I don't fucking know
because
anymore.
they had really set up that scene with him like at Leia just being like, I don't think I'm ready for this.
Yeah.
And then really showing that payoff with him just being like, I fucking tried and I
told
killed
you
us
I
all.
wasn't ready for this, and I'm killing us all. And they kept waiting, and like I don't even think that it was like a bad time of finally Lando being like, we're all here though, and it was like, okay, because I kept
See,
waiting.
that-
I kept thinking
yeah.
it was gonna come in, and I was like, there's still nobody fucking here.
Yeah.
There's still nobody here.
It was
And I
literally the
was like-
11th hour.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
nobody's coming. They didn't come the last time. Nobody's actually gonna fucking come.
And that was,
I don't know.
And that was the thing that this movie again like sets up is the idea of
There are people. They are out
there are people, and that the way that they beat you is making you think you're alone.
Yeah.
And then having that just be like,
So that was his
There's
moment
more
of
of us.
falling into like that final
That
Just-
trap.
pit of despair.
Which that worked. See, that's one of the things that I was kind of surprised with watching it the second time is that things that they did keep, and we'll go into more later, things they did keep from The Last Jedi are my favorite parts of this.
Same.
Things where they're like, that's a thread. We're going to continue the thread because that's what a sequel does.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that works. Like mentioning Crate, which was not a great scene. Like I didn't really enjoy that scene. People just going around looking the ground.
look in the ground. I don't know if referring to it as the Battle of Crate when it was 8 dudes in a bunker.
Yeah.
But like
There
whatever.
was a few more dudes in the bunker, but there was no battle because it was just Luke
It was a
and
big
Kylo
old
Ren.
Buster cannon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was Luke and Kylo Ren fighting while everybody was escaping out the goddamn.
I mean, there was
Yeah.
like there are people in trenches shooting. It just was completely outmatched.
Yeah.
I guess, but
And then Finn's look was on point on this. I really liked that they changed it up a little bit.
I did too.
I think
They gave him
as,
like a
as the credits are going through, I was like, barber for John Boyega, hair and makeup for John Boyega. Those people hit it out of the
Yeah,
park.
no, they did
He
very
looked
good.
fucking
Yeah.
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was toy.
if
I literally at one point while watching the movie was like, I really like John Boyega's hair in this.
it looked really good. Like they let him grow it out a little
Yeah,
bit.
they
and
had
it
to
was
like twist it. I was like, I really like John
No, it was
Boyega's
good.
hair.
Yeah.
It looks great.
there was some of the lines that Poe and Finn have when they're trying to be too clever didn't really land well with me because there's like the one point where when they're at the Death Star and Jana rides up and she was like, that looks like a rough landing, and he goes, and it's not just his character, like I think a lot of characters get this, and he says, I've seen worse,
And
then
she said,
says,
I've seen better. I
I'm
thought
like,
that was hilarious.
I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
but
I
that's
don't.
the only joke that this movie has where characters say things 4 times in a row and
To
then you laugh.
counter, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like they also do it on the Kerry Russell planet where, what do they say?
He goes. They go. John Boyega goes.
Oh,
you were a Spice
Spice
Runner.
Raider.
You were a Stormtrooper. You were a
that
Spice
one
Runner?
was
You were a
fine.
scavenger.
I liked that
we
one
can
a
do
lot.
this all night.
It was the next one that it's the one that they're like they keep saying it over and over as they're walking away, and then the Knights of Ren come in. I can't remember what exactly.
I
what
think
it
it
is.
was literally just
Oh, it's
continuing.
been like, so Spice Runner. You were a Spice Runner, huh?
Yeah,
Running
it's like-
Spice. How was Running Spice?
yeah.
Yeah,
Spice
it's,
Running?
yeah, it's Finn
And,
just
like,
it's Finn trying to wrap his brain around the fact
Yeah.
that Poe was a Spice Runner. He's like a Spice Runner.
This movie does that a
Just kinda
few
weird
times,
Spice
though, and
Yeah.
to where the point was like, yes, we get it. The repetition of the thing is the joke.
I think the first one is when this is the they can fly
They
now.
fly now.
Yeah, where literally every
Yeah.
character. I think every character except Rey says it.
Yeah,
Because
it's-
Chewie
it's-
says it. You can assume.
3PO says it.
So,
yeah, Chewie, we can assume.
I love that
because
they could-
Chewie said something,
Yeah.
and Ray said, "I guess they can fly now."
It was 3PO.
Oh, yeah.
And then Finn. And,
then
then
Poe.
Poe.
Yeah,
I love the fact that they
Well, comedy is in a rule of 4s after all.
I'm not gonna lie. I liked it. I liked that it got when it got to Poe. It was just like, I guess they can fucking fly now. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the humor it landed just because again
landed
all
too.
those characters for me are just so fucking like
It was definitely funnier than The Last Jedi, which we've all agreed is not funny in the
not
slightest.
funny, not funny at all, but really tried hard to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I just shook my head the entire time Josh was talking because I disagree. I loved
Yeah.
every scene Finn and Poe were in. I thought every performance landed. I thought every joke landed. I thought they were great, and I
Yeah.
liked that they really intermixed Poe and Finn. It was a real friendship.
Yeah.
And it was a real friendship in a time of struggle because
You see
they
them
had
fight.
You see them fight. You see Finn be like, "You're no freaking Leia," and Poe being like, "I fucking know this already.
Yeah.
God damn it, get out my face." And it's just like, and they were joking just minutes before, and it's like that's a real friendship in a real moment of in real moments of struggle.
Yeah.
And I thought they did really really well, and I thought that
Well, again, it's
hashtag
not-
pin for life.
It's I think 99% of all my of anything that I'm going to be criticizing is going to be on the writers and the director, because it's their responsibility to make sure, especially with like when you're writing jokes and you realize that you're doing the same joke like 8 times in your movie, like a character dies and then they do their repeat something 4 times joke, and you're like, maybe we're doing this too much.
Maybe we should mix it up a little bit.
It's always going to be on the writers and director though, because it's their responsibility to look at a movie and go, Are we overplaying our hand a little bit here?
Yeah.
So
I think it'll be one of those things where I probably would not have noticed that in my first viewing, but I'm sure if I watch it again, I will notice that and I will be like, But I mean,
probably
again,
wouldn't have,
yeah.
because if I find a joke funny once, I'm probably going to continue to find it funny.
yeah.
I probably 4 more times.
You could just fucking beat that horse for as long as you want. I don't care. Again, for me, really the only piece of writing, or I guess the only, like, just in that last third for me, for some reason, the writing just felt a little bit too ham-fisted and a little off. Again, I guess I'm just going to have to think about watching it again and just maybe thinking contextually where it all lies and seeing, like, what the characterization that Poe has is. But, again, yeah, just him, that whole scene right up until the John Williams music kicks in and everyone, like, light jumps onto screen and you have that big like orchestral like hit smash. Yeah, for some reason I was just like, ooh, like feeling very cringy. But anyways,
Maybe you just had to pee.
oh, I had to pee from like the first 5 minutes. So
Oh,
Yeah.
my dude.
it was
Strap in.
now,
was
now you
rough.
know for the second time that if you have to, you got a good like 10-minute window at the beginning of this movie that you don't have to watch to get any enjoyment out.
What? So you keep mentioning the very beginning. What window?
I'm really with Josh on this. The beginning felt super jumpy.
It was a whole movie crammed into 10 minutes.
Yeah,
but I like that. But I
at
mean,
one point when Kylo. So
Yeah.
first off, I don't like that there was no work put into Kylo Ren finding the Emperor. You get to
He
see
just
him.
does it.
It just happened.
He just like murks some dudes and then flies over and then he's there.
But I
and
don't
was
think
like,
you necessarily
where was the work?
because that
He found the Triforce, and then he got the power.
Beer, like, but how did he know where the Triforce was? How did he know it was on that planet? How did he know to murk all those little?
I don't know,
dudes,
because he probably
bear
got some
dudes, whatever
Sith
the hell?
shit. I feel like
I wasn't about. I just thought it was very. I was like, wait a minute, did I not remember something that happened at the end of the last movie? No, it wasn't
yeah, because
there.
nothing was set up.
Yeah, nothing was set up. And so I was like, okay, cool. And so that happens, and then the Emperor's like talking to him, and it was the kind of crappy monologue over what was happening on screen. I was like, okay, so this is a dream. Like, this is a vision. Kylo Ren's getting a vision. That works for me. I'm fine with that. Wait, no?
Nope,
that
this is-
actually...
this
He's
is a
actually-
movie.
that actually happened?
He's actually
the
right.
hell? It just happened. Okay, now we're suddenly on this planet and Rey's in the middle of Jedi training. Who's Jedi training her? Leia, maybe? I don't know, because that's not explained for 10 more fucking minutes. And it's just like jump, 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 jump.
Yeah.
And then we're like jumping to something else and we're jumping back.
I mean, I feel like that
'Cause
was
then we're-
unavoidable
then
because
we're
of the
on-
fact that Last Jedi literally left us nothing to work with.
Well,
and I don't
Yeah.
really care
I don't-
about how we get to that point.
I don't want to do like too much what I want. Like, I wish they had.
Yeah.
Well, we've kind of done it, but like, and we had talked about this during our trailer breakdown video. And if they had made getting to the Emperor the goal of the movie, which I think you could barely change it. Like, all you have to do is not have Kylo Ren find him in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make that the driving thing of we have to get to the Emperor before each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the end, it's, oh, he wanted us here the whole
Together.
time.
Yeah.
And you're
That's
like,
literally like
oh,
we got
shit.
in the car and we were like, if this
Yeah.
movie had been a race to him,
Yeah.
that would have been better.
It would have
That's
been
true.
great. It would have been great.
But
And-
instead,
and
it's
how-
like,
all they have to do is get rid of that first 5 minutes.
And I honestly don't
Done.
even think that they needed to get rid of that whole scene. Literally, what they could have done is just have Kylo
him
Ren
wake up on his ship.
No, have Kylo Ren find the MacGuffin.
The
The
goober.
Because we don't care how he gets to the goober. We just know that he's looking for the Emperor and he finds the goober.
I like that you called it a MacGuffin too when I correct you due to goober. So by the way, it's a goober.
It's a goober. It's a goober. He finds the goober,
Yeah.
and that, because technically it's like a Sith artifact, that creates instantly a connection between him and the Emperor, and then that's a vision, and then he's like, kind of snaps back into where he the fuck he is in the forest. Like that is all they needed to do.
Which I
So
mean,
what
they
Josh and I
literally,
just said.
Yeah.
well, I mean, like they literally
mean-
set precedent for that with Rey grabbing Luke's lightsaber,
Yeah.
and then having an entire fucking like out like vision like
Out of body
through space and
experience, yeah.
time.
That was fucking really cool.
So it
and was-
already happened once in
Yeah.
a J.J. Abrams movie. Can
like,
we not just
can we
have it happen
the dark
again?
side version of that, where like just all of this like Sith lore just pours out onto him, just like pouring out all over. The dry force.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, if
I just felt jerked along really bad in the beginning. 'cause-
Yeah.
Again, because nothing was set up, and so they were trying to do it really, really fast. And so that was the only time.
just
I-
knowing
I-
that they were
I
going to have
liked
to
it all.
hop through so many hoops just to get us to somewhere where they could actually have a starting point.
Again, I love this movie, and I
Yeah.
was fine with it. I just felt jerked for a minute, and then I was like, okay, fine. Because it just felt like the pacing was really off, and then it immediately
Oh,
calmed down.
it
was
ab-
like
it absolutely
it was
was
like 20
breakneck,
minutes,
but-
and then it immediately calmed down, and I was like, all right.
yeah.
The fact that
I'm here.
like I know we've already talked about this a little bit, but the fact that every single Leia scene in that like first opening bit, even like later into the movies, just felt like I don't remember. Go on to YouTube and find a video that somebody put together where they edited Tommy Wiseau from The Room into Star Wars. And it is done so well, but so like obviously like fan choppy done.
Yeah.
All of Leia's scenes, especially in the beginning, felt like that.
I don't know if I just have like a different like I don't know if it's because I went in this and I was like, that's my space mom and she's not gonna make it through. Every time she was on that screen, I didn't care what position I just wanted her on the screen. Like
Yeah.
I was just
I
happy she
did
was
too.
there. I didn't notice that she was in the same position a lot.
I didn't
notice
either,
this crap.
honestly.
I'm just like I was just real happy she was there. I don't even care. Give Ray more hugs. Every scene could have been her hugging Ray.
My only disconnect, I think, was just that it felt like writing wise, no matter what someone said to Leia, like her lines were already there and they didn't always match up 100%. Like it almost felt like she wasn't having the same conversation. There's like a
A
couple
little bit. Well, like, whereas she would
can't,
say
like-
a line,
Yeah.
and then the reaction would just be like, yes.
Yeah, like
It's
I can't
what-
necessarily like in this moment like pinpoint the exact time, and maybe it's because I went into it looking for that, so maybe I was like a little bit extra like that, but
Yeah, I might have been a little too.
I was gonna say maybe a little too critical.
I was probably a little-
not necessarily too.
No.
I'm not going to say too critical.
I'm gonna be more
I'm gonna
critical.
say,
I mean honestly they did actually like J.J. Abrams literally said that they took so quiet. They literally took scenes that were filmed of Carrie Fisher as Leia and literally wrote a lot of the script around them, and I think it kind of felt like that. Unfortunately, I don't think they could have done it better. So
there's
I can't
literally nothing they could have
no,
done
they
better.
they literally could not have done anything
they could
better.
have done it less, which might have been better for the movie, but they couldn't have had her in this movie.
It did a ton. It really, she wasn't.
And the problem is that, I mean, I think we mentioned it before, but this was supposed to be her
Leia's
movie.
Yeah.
This was Leia's movie. This
And
was going to be finally us getting Leia's. What I wanted from that flashback of her explaining her story to us. That's what this movie was meant to be.
Yeah.
That's what this movie was meant to be. And I'm just so bummed we didn't get it.
Yeah.
That I'll take whatever I got.
Totally.
Honestly. And like, I know that you guys are like, what the fuck was that scene with Greg McGuffin or whatever the hell his name is? But
Greg Wexley.
Greg Goober.
Greg Goober. But I really liked that scene because I liked her humor was there.
Yeah.
You know, her being like, try to be optimistic.
Do we
like,
think
to be
that
happier.
scene was actually filmed with that exact interaction?
I think
No.
it was not.
Yeah.
I think she was probably talking to Poe
Checks out.
originally.
Yeah.
And I think it was filmed for the previous movie.
Yeah.
And she was talking to Poe, trying to get Poe to be more optimistic.
That
about
was
whatever
definitely one of the
happening.
scenes
Which
where I remember being.
I've forgotten about that. I will. That's the other thing I want to mention real quickly to go back to Poe, and then we can continue with General Leia. Poe comes off a lot better in this one than he does in The Last Jedi. I'll give them that.
yeah, because they're
you
not
know,
keeping secrets.
He's not
You
an
know what?
idiot.
Yeah. Character development happens.
Yeah, that's true.
But he's not really the.
I really liked the secret line. Oh, we're keeping secrets now. We're
keeping secrets.
This is the best time
The,
to keep secrets.
the weird thing though is that in that they set him up to be a leader, and in the beginning of this movie he's a spy. I
Yeah.
guess, which is kind of weird. Like as far as like a through line goes.
I think that there's so few of them,
Yeah.
and Poe really says this to Rey. There's so few of them that they all have to. It's all hands on deck. You have to complete many different jobs, and he's like, we don't need you here. We need you out there because he's meant to be there leading. He's meant to be there helping. And it can't be because there's so few of them who can fly, who can fight, that he's got to go out.
Who can crow?
Who can crow?
God damn it.
He's got to be out there.
Sorry.
But yeah, like it is unfortunate that Carrie Fisher passed away before they could film this film because
It's just unfortunate that she passed away at all.
Yeah.
She
Just
should have
in
been like if anyone should have had an immortality, it should have been Space Mom.
yeah.
This should be our space.
Love you, Carrie.
Yeah, I don't think
We didn't get any Mary Poppins in this film. Nobody's force flying.
No.
Well, kind of.
A little.
Ray kind of did.
Ray,
Okay, so
Ray
this is-
force jumped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this
A
is
lot.
the
Which was cool.
I
I
really
feel like
liked it.
the first of these of this trilogy that just like full on Pete Rose like dives into like Jedi superpowers.
Yeah.
Where like when they started jumping around, I was like, okay, so we are doing that again.
Yep.
Which I dug.
I'm not
I was into
like,
it.
mad about, but
Really dug.
I
both
feel
of
like
them
it
doing
wasn't as silly and frantic as the prequels, which was
No.
good. Like it still felt pretty grounded.
it still felt, so the thing is doing it well as versus doing it prequel style.
Yeah.
It felt
still,
acrobatic.
It felt acrobatic. It felt like it still had weight to it. The
Yeah.
Force feels
Yeah.
like it has weight in these movies, whereas they are literally just
rubber bands
yeah,
bouncing
Yeah.
around the
bouncing
screen.
around on
Yeah, it looked like she was putting effort into everything
Well,
she did.
And that's the other thing that I really enjoyed about this film, and that was very much like a show it, don't say it scenario with Rey, is that I feel like there was so much fucking animosity and so much like rage in her lightsaber like fights. Like she was obviously like kind of coming unhinged, and I
I'm
feel
glad
like
you finished that sentence.
yeah. God damn it, Josh. We've already
Josh, don't make us that.
There's
public.
there's
Don't make
there's
it
some
up.
words
already-
that you
we-
can't stop a sentence that put a
Yeah.
big long pause after because then I'm like, is he gonna finish that sentence?
Oh baby, I always finish
heyo.
my sentences.
There you go.
I don't know. Like, I thought that was really, and I don't know who. I guess like the choreography. Like, I thought that was really cool that they showed like as Ben is starting to like doubt his path and kind of find his like moral compass and true north or whatever you want to call it. Like Rey is starting to like realize her ancestry and her legacy and is like simultaneously fighting it and also leaning into it, and that she just has this like anger, this rage, this confusion, and the fact that like they had her doing all of like the crazy acrobatics and all the jumping and all the I don't that just fucking that got me in all the good places.
Yeah, the moment that I really liked in their whole battle
Yeah.
was when you just see her get so frustrated, and then she's just like
Right when she comes out of like the Sith vision where she sees herself.
that. Well, later when they're like on the outer hall, like
Oh,
fighting each
Yeah,
other.
and
Yeah.
he's like coming out of the water, and she's just starting to get frustrated and tired. And
The moment
Oh,
when
because she's starting to slow down.
she's starting
Yeah,
to slow down,
that
and she's
was
the
cool.
moment where she flips her blade, and she's like, "I'll fight him like he fights." Then,
Yep.
and like does the underhanded
And it
like style.
trying
And I was
to
like,
whip it back.
"Oh
Yeah.
shit!" She's getting fucking pissed.
I feel like I caught that even when he first shows up on that planet. Like, just the look on her face, like, give me the fucking thing, you bitch. Like,
well, you see it on his face. She's force talking to him.
yeah.
She is trying to force talk him to give her that fucking shit,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, we're here now."
yeah.
Well,
Because she just saw herself as the Sith Lord. She had to, and I looked at John. She didn't have to feed it. She didn't have to fight her. She didn't finish fighting herself.
Nope.
And that's the problem, is that she didn't finish fighting herself yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
And she didn't defeat herself.
No.
And she needed to stay in that
just got-
fucking room longer.
Just got scared by shark face and then
Did get
got pushed
scared
away.
by shark.
Ew, I didn't like Shark Face.
I didn't like Shark
Yeah.
Face too.
Like, I
She
didn't
I
needed
knew
to-
they were gonna do something like that. I was
She
like,
needed to
okay,
stay in
give
that
us
room
our
longer.
Bilbo Baggins moment.
Yeah.
That's exactly that's exactly what it was. I was
How
about
many?
to say.
I have made many Lord of the Rings references to this movie. By the way.
Yeah.
It's applicable. Yeah.
So before we get too far into any more Ray stuff,
Should we talk about Dominic Monaghan, considering we've been talking about Lord of the
God
Rings?
damn.
What else
No.
did I talk about? Oh, there's a preview for a movie that I was like,
Doolittle?
I've seen this movie already.
Maybe it looks terrible.
I heard somebody was.
Is that the that god awful Pixar movie that they showed a preview for?
Fuck off. I
Wait,
love
how
that.
dare
Shut
you.
your goddamn
You
mouth.
leave.
Get out.
You finish this recording and
We
then you
will
go
go
home.
see Onward, and we are gonna do it for this
Yeah, that looks
podcast.
great.
I am gonna cry
I'm
so
gonna
many
sob.
manly
I
fucking
love it.
tears. Like,
Anyways,
God damn it.
we're talking about
There was
Spider-Man
a-
Into the Spider-Verse.
yeah, sorry.
What was the preview that we watched where I was like, you can't. It's the 1917, the war film that I was like, wow, there's a lot more guns in Lord of the Rings than I remembered. And John kind of like looks at me and was like, I was Sam and Frodo, guys. You can't tell me that wasn't Sam and fucking Frodo.
That movie, that trailer, wasn't before the movie that I saw. So if we could just
Not talk about that. That fucking trailer gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
do all those fucking Christopher. No, that's not Christopher.
Sam
That's not
Mendes.
Yeah, that's the Sam Mendes.
The movie is going to be worse though because it's filmed to be one shot, so it's going to be that, but worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's going to be an hour.
Oh no,
2
you're
hours
gonna
of
see
just.
this now, aren't you?
No, but
Okay, good,
I'm
go.
very interested in the idea of a one shot like.
Well, I guess
that.
it's like maybe 2 shots because I guess there's a change at some point where it goes to a different shot, but
okay.
yeah, it's essentially like supposed to be.
It's
just
a
like
play
yeah.
on film.
But they're like running across the entire country or the entire continent of Europe.
Yeah, but
I mean,
definitely
they
said
did
that
it in
was
Run Lola Run, so I feel like it's kind of done.
There was a Christopher Nolan trailer though, and
Yeah,
I
Tenet.
am,
no idea what the fuck that's about, but I'm here
some sort
for
of
it.
time travel bullshit that I'm like,
Oh, that's the one that I was
Oh, you
like,
mean
makes
about
me tingle.
about what
Something
not
about-
happened in Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah,
Time travel?
thank God.
Think.
Oh yes, that was what we were Heather and I in the car were talking about. No, actually, sorry, that was when we were on our way to.
Yeah, that was me. Your other
That
wife.
was you.
That makes us sister wives, Heather.
yay.
Aw.
Sorry, I
Well, we
had-
did wear our opposing matching
We
socks.
do. Should we play footsie so they can kiss?
Oh God, no, we'll get
We're
there.
not there yet.
Please no.
Oh.
That talking about our trailer breakdown, that I at least don't feel as stupid as all the people who are like, it's gonna be time travel. Rey's gonna be Anakin's mom.
You're going to be Anakin's mom.
It's like, God damn it. That falls so far. Again, I also made fun of these people in another podcast, but that falls squarely into the Hawkeye's going to be the bad guy of Endgame, like, chunk of the internet that I'm just like,
Oh, we're gonna
y'all
get to
are-
Endgame.
Y'all are
Don't worry,
fucking
we're gonna
stupid.
get to Endgame. Trust me,
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
we're gonna get there.
Yeah. But anyway,
Oh, Black
I
Widow also looked
digress.
great for talking about trailers.
It did.
We're not, though. We're talking about fucking Star Wars, my dude.
to talk about a trailer?
But Harley, it did.
It looked
did.
good.
I liked it up until the part where she's like flying through the air, and I was like, "How is she bending physics like that?"
Well, she was grabbing stuff and pulling herself along. It gave
Anyway,
me goose pimples, you monster.
I just liked how many outfit changes she had. Also very excited about Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
Rachel Weisz. Wow. Good job, Heather. Continue. On our
Kylo Ren and the
Kylo.
Emperor. So
Do it.
one of the things I was concerned about, and this is like from the very first trailer, and I was kind of when I was like, they're gonna try to quote unquote fix the Last Jedi.
Oh, yes. No.
Is when
Sorry.
when Kylo Ren fixes his helmet and puts it back on.
I liked it.
All I will say
I liked it.
about his helmet in this movie is that red is too fucking vibrant.
I liked
It looks like a goddamn toy.
A little bit.
If you're gonna have seared like fucking cracks like soldered together like that, have it look burnt.
Like a Merlot rather than
He wasn't trying to put. He wasn't just soldering. He was putting pieces in it. That's why it's red. It's
I liked
Play-Doh.
it.
I don't. It just
It's
took
Play-Doh.
me out of it a little bit. It looked like a prop to me.
I mean, technically.
Yeah, I understand, Harley. That's the fucking problem.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess there's some symbolism there to be had. Like, in the first movie, he's basically just like mimicking Vader. In the second movie, he kind of loses his helmet because he's having a crisis of conflict. And in the third movie, he's basically like doubled down on like the fact that he wants to be Kylo Ren. Like, Ben wants to be Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
He wants to take over the fucking universe. He's gonna go fuck up Palpatine, and then
Hopefully
basically
that isn't,
becomes.
hopefully that isn't completely thrown away by the end of this movie.
No, I'm sure it won't be. But again, he loses his helmet.
I'm kind of sad that he didn't call himself Darth Helmet after he got it back.
Darth Helmut.
Yeah. So this movie does a thing at the very beginning, which I
Yeah.
think rubs me the wrong way. And they did this in not Skyfall, but the one after that of the James Bond movies. Spectre.
Yeah.
Where at the towards the end of the movie,
I am the reason for all your sins.
like they go like all these things you've been watching. I've been the one secretly pulling the strings the whole time, and it's like, were you though? Were you though?
So here's the thing.
And also,
yeah.
a pickle jar full of Snokes is stupid.
I really liked that,
I liked
actually.
the pickle jar. Of
I like
Snokes.
a good
I like
pickled
that
Snoke.
he clearly
Yeah.
We were like, where the fuck did Snoke come from?
Yeah.
Oh, it turns out
He's just
that
a,
the
like,
Emperor
clone.
cloned him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were genetically splicing and made.
Which is why he's so funky looking.
So like busted up in the face.
And that was what really. Before I get too far,
I'm not gonna
along-
lie though,
Before you get too far away from the microphone.
I
you mean?
liked that the Emperor was behind everything.
Yeah.
I liked knowing that. Like,
If it was any other villain, if it was anyone else in the Star Wars universe, excluding Jar Jar Binks, because that would have been fucking amazing. But like the Emperor, like that fucking character has literally been the reason for everyone's suffering from the very beginning. So while I agree that it's kind of an ass pull, and then again, if we want,
Well, and then Leia also has the really bad line when I think it's also early on when Poe is talking about listening
Yeah.
to transmission, and she turns to the camera and says, "The Emperor's been behind everything the whole time in the shadows, doing all of this the whole time, and we just haven't noticed." And I was like,
yeah, I feel like for me, I interpreted that with genuine, like she was having genuine surprise. So I don't feel like she just knew what was going on the entire time, but that might be something I have to see again. But I feel like the difference between Palpatine pulling the strings and, for example, like was it Blofeld, whatever, in the 007 in
Spectre.
Inspector, is that like that character was literally introduced like 5 minutes ago, and then all of a sudden he becomes like the biggest bad that's ever been. Ian McDiarmid as the Emperor has actually been the biggest bad throughout the entire, not even the entire trilogy, but the entire series of films.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate for me that we didn't get even like a whisper of that.
that they waited till the last second
Yes.
to pull an end around and be like,
Exactly.
here you go.
For
which
me,
might have been
Yeah.
due to
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi.
And it's,
Maybe we were meant to get an inkling. Maybe
Yeah.
we were meant to start
Yeah.
to hear whispers of it.
I think I think if JJ had actually been at the creative helm of this entire trilogy, we would have, but we just didn't. And that for me, because you'd mentioned earlier that with the original trilogy, like they didn't really have like a cohesive through line.
They did and they didn't.
They didn't.
They were independent films
Yeah.
on their own very well.
But I think that's for me the difference is that The Empire Strikes Back, we were introduced to all of our biggest characters, including the Emperor, and then we were able to finish that up in Return of the Jedi. This film, it was all shoehorned into the last film, which is why it feels so messy.
I really think what they could have to set up Palpatine in this movie in The Last Jedi, you still kill Snoke.
Yeah.
But in that scene, you have like some line of dialogue from like Kylo Ren being like, I thought that would end it. I thought that like I still feel a pull coming from
Yeah.
somewhere.
I was gonna say, when in the moment of him killing him, if we had gotten just the Emperor's laugh,
Oh, fuck yeah.
just his laugh,
That would have been
I would have laughed out loud. So
that would have been Ed Wood level of
It could have been done. No, it could have been done well. And I think
they tried that in It Chapter 1, and it was funny then, and it would have been funny in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
I would have just done it. If
I love you.
If Kylo had heard it, just Kylo, not everybody. Kylo had heard it, and then him have that line.
just buried in the mix under like 27 reverbs and like
Yeah.
you hear a little something
like what they did with the overlaying of dialogue when Rey has her first Force vision.
Yes.
But you basically have Kylo having his own, where the Emperor's just like, do it. Just like ASMR.
No, but a Force Vision would have been good there. But then
Yeah.
you would have had Ryan Johnson would have had to have wanted to share his toys with the next director.
Yeah.
Or again, I don't want to be like my story would have been better, but getting to the Emperor being the point of this, because like the other thing too, having it be a race, I think would put a good clicking or a ticking clock on it that they tried to set up in this.
Totally.
There's a countdown that completely is meaningless because we have no sense of time.
Yeah, like we only have 16 hours. I'm like,
I don't fucking know what that means.
Yeah,
But then,
when is that introduced?
When they find
movie.
out, right after when the
the third scene
spy
of the movie,
says,
Harley.
the spy says that we in the next 24 hours, blah blah blah,
Oh, that's right.
and then all of the shit happens.
Yeah.
In the
And I guess they just don't
time.
even they don't reference that again. So I guess the urgency.
They do.
Do they?
Yeah.
because then
Oh,
they
I
have
didn't
8
fucking-
hours, and then they have like, because when they're on one of the Endor things, they talk about we only have like 6 hours
Because she's
left.
like,
That's
"Oh, I'll give you
right.
till the night. We'll get it in the first light," and they're
Yeah.
like, "We don't fucking have time.
Oh, I guess I just totally.
We've got a
Which
couple of
that-
hours."
That is probably the only scene that shows any sort of urgency about like what the time constraint is
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Never really comes up again.
But if
other
you're
than-
clicking, if your ticking clock is Kylo Ren's going to get there first, and he's going to unleash the Emperor instead of us going there and killing him, which they don't know that they can't do yet.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, because like the traveling they do seems like they're going in circles,
Yeah, that's true.
as opposed to
Yeah,
point
'cause
A to
they
B.
also talk about how they can't go back to the base. We don't have time to go back to the
Yeah.
base.
Yeah.
And it's like, because they have to. Okay, we kind of hinted at this at the beginning. I'm just going to bust it out now.
Bust it out.
Because in this film, their ultimate goal is to get to the Sith planet Jellicle.
Jellicle is as Jellicle does. Cats.
Yeah.
Andrew Lloyd Webber is the worst.
How dare you? How dare you?
The Sith planet Jellicle.
How dare you?
Jellicle is as Jellicle
Get
does.
out of here! How dare you inject that goddamn
Angelical.
that goddamn monstrous nightmare into my Star Wars movie?
Oh, the sweet memories of Star Wars.
Sullied for no.
Alone in the moonlight.
But
I love that play. I'm sorry it's becoming a shitty ass movie. I love the play. Fuck off, all
I think
of you.
you've already seen it at this point.
no,
No.
no.
It just isn't
Are you
adaptable.
going to?
I'm
'Cause
going to at some point.
You poor thing.
You poor
Yeah.
soul.
Thanks for taking that bullet.
Yep.
Yeah, I have to do it for the Moist Boys reviews, which for those of you listening to this, you can go check those out. I got reviews of movies.
Hopefully you didn't want a spoiler-free version of this, because that's where that
Yeah,
There is.
that's over
There
there.
is-
Yeah.
That's
there
what I'm
is-
saying, because that's where that is.
That's way over
It's-
there.
It's marked. I think the people know.
Yeah.
Yeah, spoilers again, everybody on Instagram.
Love you.
But yeah, the having a ticking clock that you're not aware of for 90% of the movie is always a problem, and I think this suffers from the fact that they're not going to anything. They're kind of just running in circles.
Yeah.
The movie is essentially just running out the clock.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
So what was the
Well, we were so we were talking about that first introductory
Kylo
scene.
and the
Kylo
Emperor.
and Palpatine with. Do you say Kylo and Pepper?
Palpatine.
Palpatine.
Pepper. Snoke. I like what they did with Snoke. I liked pickled Snoke.
I did. Yeah, I liked it.
I was actually very surprised that we got pickled Snoke, but then it turned out that Rey was who she was and not.
Because you
a
thought
clone.
she was going to be a clone.
I fucking thought we called that shit.
I thought
Yeah.
we did too.
All the way
When
up
I
until
started
the
seeing-
reveal.
And
Yeah.
especially when, because what I really liked about the Emperor, and I'm just going to say it, I really liked this, is that we don't know how he's still alive.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Nobody,
A total
there
mystery.
are rumors, there is chit chat around it,
Yeah.
but nobody fully knows how he did it, and I love that.
Totally.
Because that's what I love about Star Wars is the Force is the Force, and it's not always understood.
No.
And it's very much said, it's unsaid in this, but it feels like you don't get to know because that's the dark side, and don't go there.
Yeah. Just don't fucking do it.
Just don't fucking. Nobody's gonna know because
We
it's
literally-
the dark,
literally-
dark side, and we don't want to know.
Can't talk about it.
Yeah. And I really liked that. I really liked that.
I really liked the fact
That he wasn't in a chicken walker.
He wasn't in a fucking chicken
I knew
walker.
you would like
yeah.
that.
No.
I definitely saw when he was in the apparatus he was in, and I
Yes.
was like, "Yay, it's not a chicken
Yeah,
walker."
I was fucking because like with the trailer when they have him moving around, like it definitely like had like a clunking kind of
Like
like,
a
walking
step,
movement.
It
like-
seemed like it did, but it
so
didn't
they
in
must
the
have
movie.
well honestly like I watched the trailer. I watched
They
the
must
original
have
trailer.
cleaned it up.
They cleaned it up. They cleaned it up, thankfully. But yeah, no, that fucking. I mean, I think you said like that fucking apparatus that he was in, where he's just literally hanging from the ceiling like fucking GLaDOS from Portal.
super dope.
it's
And like
so-
with the vials and the tubes
No,
in
fucking-
him,
and
and
the
like the
gross
purple
extra
what was
long
the,
robe.
Yeah,
what
and
the
the-
fuck was in that purple?
And the
that
fucking
purple stuff?
the gross
His
little
gross fingers.
like, and he's just
Ooh.
zombie emperor.
Yeah, it invoked
Yeah.
so many
His
like
milky eyeballs.
Yeah, didn't like it.
Smack
like-
my microphone.
Liked it a
That's
lot,
what I
but
said.
in
I have a hand.
all the scary ways that
it very much like I've seen like old probably I think like from the books that are no longer within the canon.
Oh, the legend, yeah,
like the Legends books, where they have like artwork of there's like a little boy clone of Palpatine, and then like just like him, but super just like striking imagery. That's like that whole like arm reaching down from the ceiling and him being
I
like,
hate it.
oh god, this is so like this is some fucking eldritch bullshit that you're just, like throwing in my Star Wars
Very
right now.
no,
Like,
it was
God
very
damn.
like Geiger almost.
Yeah.
But it was dope
Yeah.
as fuck.
I wish there was a scene though when he was like when he was like floating around in his little thing and it kind of like started jerking and his little legs started flopping around.
He's just completely nude. We
That
just
would've
see
been-
little
that would've been funny.
little Palpatine,
Yeah.
little zombie
Just as
Pal-
wrinkly.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And can I just say, like, I feel like it's a milestone to where we finally gotten to the point where Ian McDermott doesn't actually need old person makeup to look like the Emperor. We made it!
Fucking hell.
Good
Damn,
job,
dude.
Did anybody else see in the flashes of the lightning? God,
Good job, McDermott. You did it.
Jesus.
You outlived us all. Oh my God bless.
Fucking hell.
You wriggly.
You can't do that shit to me, man.
I think I would have been better with all of that stuff with the Emperor at the beginning if it had come at the end with the climax. Like if we didn't see the Emperor until the climax.
if we had just heard him.
Yeah, if you hear his voice, you hear him pulling Kylo.
Yeah.
And you don't everything's like there's so much thrown at you at the beginning of that movie where like they're like, okay, don't worry, the last Jedi didn't count. Kylo Ren's on a mission.
Yeah.
He's flying through the thing. He lands on a planet. Like the Sith planet looks cool, except you only see it for like 2 seconds because like there's so much they have to get through. There's no time to look at anything.
Really cool. The temple's really fucking
Yeah,
cool.
like,
Really cool and
The
scary.
Star
and-
Destroyers coming out of the ice should have looked cool, but it's like 2 seconds
so
and it's
fast.
over.
It
It's
was
like
so
boom,
fast.
and you're just flying in the sky. I'm just like, I would if like
Yeah.
Rise out slow.
They
Like
should.
the ice
he
cracks.
should have literally pointed. Like there should have been a thing where he's like, "I have the ultimate power," and then you see just like the one chip be like, boop, with like the big cannon and everything, like and be like, "Oh fuck, that's like a movable fucking Star Destroyer." Oh no! And then when everyone gets there,
like the ice starts
that's
cracking under their feet.
That's when we see the entire fleet. Like
Yeah.
if they would have kept that shit hidden until that final battle, that would have been like,
Yeah.
no, like we're fucked. I don't know.
I really did like though, and it might just be me. Maybe
Yeah.
it was my eyes playing tricks on me, but it very much felt like when the lightning was flashing over
Ooh, I
the
hate-
Emperor's face,
Yeah.
it looked like it was changing between his young face and his old face.
Ooh, maybe.
Almost like I saw flashes of like multiple expressions and multiple like time, and I was like, this
They
is
did a really
freaking cool.
They did a good job of making that shit look creepy. Like even the
look so
sound, even the sound of the lightning sounded
Yeah.
like really scary, and it sounded like children.
Well, because
screaming.
like
And I love lightning.
Yeah.
Like, I love thunder and lightning storms are like my favorite.
Yeah.
And that was scary.
it was because usually with lightning in movies you have like the thunder, but this was like crinkly lightning, which was weird.
didn't like it. It's like,
It just sounded like the lightning from his fingers.
Yeah,
The whole
which will
Oh, you didn't.
We're gonna talk
you
about
didn't
that
like.
more later.
You didn't like the Emperor's
Well-
spirit bomb.
we'll get to
The holy hand grenade.
Yeah.
We'll get to it later.
I'm just sad that he didn't do the infamous absolute power line again. I was like, I just want.
Unlimited power.
I literally wanted him to run through every fucking over memed line that
Yeah.
he said do it. The mad lads, they gave it to us. He said do it.
Did
Did
he?
he
Yes.
do it?
Yeah. At the end when she's like,
When she's supposed to kill him?
yeah,
Oh,
he-
that's right. Do it.
Yeah.
like in the most like emotionally one of the most emotionally resonant, what should be one of the most emotionally resonant parts of the film, where Rey is like having that internal like struggle of like, do I fucking take over? Like, do I like welcome?
Maybe I could be better than them. I
Yeah.
probably can't be better than them.
Do it. I still am, and maybe if we want to talk about this later when we get to that part of the film, we can. But I'm still in my baby brain watching it for only once, really confused about what was actually happening in that whole last scene. Like, I don't know what
We can get to that part.
Yeah, I guess I just don't know what the Emperor was saying was going to happen. Like, is
Yeah.
he
Ooh,
fucking?
because I got that.
You got it.
that.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I need that.
So before we get there, though, I want to go.
Do we have to talk about Kylo now?
Yeah, because this is probably the weakest part of this movie, and the parts that make me most uncomfortable, the parts that are most confusing, and the
Yeah.
parts that are the most half baked. As Jonathan runs away from this Kylo talk. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Ooh.
I have, I think I just have conflicting feelings on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
Kylo. I feel like had none of the other movies existed, I would have liked Kylo's story in this.
Well, and I think that's been the problem with this whole series. If
Yeah,
the
if
previous
you
movie
didn't-
hadn't happened,
if you didn't
it'd be
watch-
fine.
Not just
The Last Jedi.
Not just the Last Jedi. I think if A Force Awakens hadn't happened either,
Yeah.
I probably would have liked his because here's my thing, and I said this to Jonathan when we got in the car after we watched the movie and we got in the car is Vader got a redemption story. Was Vader still a bad guy? Hell yeah, Vader was still a bad guy. He did a lot of bad shit. And yet we were fine with his redemption story. I would have been fine with Ben having a redemption story and still being a bad guy. I was not fine with the icky part.
Yeah.
We'll talk about
yeah.
the
Well,
icky part.
I think we're all in agreement that the icky part is icky.
Yeah.
The thing that I will say about Vader, though, is that
We didn't see him commit like planicide or like complete like just
we
running.
did, though.
I
They
mean,
literally blow up Alderaan.
Yeah, Alderaan. But I mean, like
That
literally.
was mostly Tarkin, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
And also-
again,
But he wasn't like, hey, Tarkin, no.
And again, like he wasn't the protagonist. Like him being redeemed was Luke's journey.
Yeah.
yeah,
Not
like,
Kylo's
like you were
journey.
saying, like
Yeah.
we didn't know anything about him.
He wasn't the
so then him
protagonist.
earning that.
Protagonist.
It was
like, yeah.
that was Luke being like, because Luke's goal was to redeem
was
Vader.
change, yeah.
So Vader being redeemed was Luke accomplishing his goal. Ben Solo coming back. I don't know who the fuck's goal that was.
Yeah. It was
J.J. Abrams'
Han's
goal.
goal.
It was Han and Leia's goal. It was Han and Leia's
Yeah,
goal.
but
the whole
after,
time was
like-
have their kid come back.
So like,
I definitely
I'm
though
so-
watching it and was like, he got a Snape moment. And I was not
Yep.
cool with him
Snape-
getting a
Snape
Snape
killed
because
Dumbledore.
now all of the like same people who are always just like always from the Harry Potter fandom are definitely
Fuck those
going to
people.
be the Kylo Ren was.
Yeah.
He was good all along.
the other thing too
Someone
is
would be
that
like,
Vader
he murdered people, bitches.
Vader does something to redeem himself. Kylo Ren doesn't do shit in this movie. He chases Rey a little bit. He dies and then gets brought back as Ben Solo, and then he's the hero of the movie all of a sudden. Like,
I wouldn't say he was the hero.
I
I
mean-
definitely say he was assisting the hero. He was definitely not being the bad guy anymore. But I don't say that he was the hero.
I think if we were meant to really look at Ben or Kylo Ren with like more of a redemptive process, like he should have been the one to make the sacrifice play, and he should have been the final one to take down the Emperor.
well, we'll get to that because I have
I disagree.
I feel like
I disagree too, but
for that to make sense in
Yeah.
the way that it was presented, and in the way that I think like we all would have needed it to have been presented, like I think that's really the only option if he was one to make the final thing and then probably sacrifice himself. However, I think Kylo Ren in this film, his journey more than anything, like he's been a conflicted character throughout. He's absolutely like I mean, he's a very broken character. Like we're not really supposed to root for him being rehabilitated. I think just more for him to like finally come back to accepting himself as, I guess, being of the light side of the Force. And I think
Which I feel like the movie was trying to hint to us that he was
Yeah.
not just so much like hint to us, but they were showing he was already on that path. Because
Yeah.
when you go into when you're on this,
did it stop?
when you're on this destroyer, right? Everything like Kylo's destroyer, everything's black.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's very Empire-esque. And then you enter this room, and the minute we entered it, I was like, wow, this is a really white fucking room. And it turns out it's his quarters, and I was like, his whole room is just stark white.
Yeah.
Either this man hates germs, Or
Yeah.
And the problem also is like from the end of Last Jedi, where he became the ultimate baddie, and the first half of this, or first almost 2/3 of this movie, the only way that we are told that he's conflicted at all is Rey telling him and telling us that he is. Like, all of his actions are, he's the bad guy, he's the ultimate evil power in the universe.
I did not feel like he was really that conflicted until
he turned into the good guy.
Yeah.
No, until the fight on the old Death Star. And it really was the beginning of the fight when she tries to force talk to him, and his surprise and his face, and that's when I feel like he saw what he was doing to her and was like, wait, actually, wait.
It's like I don't want this. Like, I'm reaching out my hand to you because I want us to be able to defeat this thing.
Yeah, I don't want you to become the ultimate evil and maybe destroy me, and maybe and then you start to see him be conflicted, and then you start to see him watch what he is doing to her.
Yeah.
Which, like it or not, that's what's happening. Is the Reylo is happening at that moment. I know, like it or not, but that's what's happening. Is that you see what he's realizing finally what he's doing to her, and that's when we started to see him be conflicted.
And I think really all of this film tries, like, I don't think it really tries to redeem him, like, overall as a character. I think that all the arc of this film does is show us that for someone who for this entire time has been trying to reject the light side of the Force,
and who he probably is really deep
and
down.
who he is deep down, like, for the fact that he, well, maybe and probably not. I mean, he's probably both. Like, I mean,
Well, I mean, like, that's just the inverse of the Batman Begins, where it's not. Where in that they say it's not who you are, but what you do that matters, and in this it's not what you do, it's who you are that matters.
Well, no, and I don't think that's true. Like, I think he absolutely has given himself completely to the dark side of the Force. I think just whatever the Force is, his redemption is at the very end of the film is that he can finally he can tap into that for good, and that he he heals Rey.
It is that the Force is always a balance between the good, the light, and the dark.
Yeah.
Always. It's meant to be a balance.
I feel like this film, the one thing that it really did for me that I actually enjoyed, again, like, the characterizations of Kylo throughout do not really, it's like shoving a square peg into a round hole for me.
Yes.
But the fact that, like, they finally kind of lean back into the rule of two, which is like this Star Wars, like, Force, like, old concept of, like, there always has to be one Jedi and one Sith, or at least some sort of balance between the two. And the fact that you have, like, the descendant of Skywalker and the descendant of Palpatine, and having them kind of struggle to figure out, like, I think it was, like, what is it, the dyad? The dyad? I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people rolled their eyes at that, but I thought it was cool just because that's, like, very much...
I like that they were on opposing, too.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Opposing and kind of, I think, circulating sides.
Between into the microphone and away from the microphone.
Between into the microphone and away from
Really quick.
I didn't love overall, by the way. I feel like I'm very much being an apologist for this right now. I don't love that Kylo got redeemed. I wanted him to be a bad guy through and through.
I don't think he
wanted
got
him
redeemed.
to
I
just
think-
stay a bad guy.
don't-
No, he did.
Didn't he, though?
He did.
Did he not turn
did.
into a good Force ghost at the end of the movie and go up to Force heaven?
He
No.
did.
Yeah.
He did.
Did he?
Yes.
Yeah.
When?
Because
When he turned
Leia
into the
didn't-
blue Force ghost.
Because Leia
Oh,
didn't leave
that's
until he
right.
left. And yeah, so no, he did, and it's icky.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
And I don't love it, but I will tell you what, I really liked that he died.
That was good.
I definitely,
Hey,
definitely in my head as I'm watching this scene, I was like, if this little fucking bastard survives and she dies, I'm gonna be
see. That's what I thought was
pissed.
gonna happen. I thought that he was gonna be the Skywalker of the Rise of Skywalker.
So did I.
And
I
I
was
almost
like,
shat
no,
my pants.
I will.
The real answer was kind of not that much better, though, but
It was.
we'll get to
It wasn't. Yeah.
I also said that I was conflicted on this. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I know I keep interrupting you.
It's fine.
I'm really,
Jonathan.
I have really conflicting views on this, and this is mainly why. I have such a crush on Adam Driver that anytime he got to be Ben Solo, he got to not have to wear that stupid helmet, and I got to see, and in the end of this, we get to see him with his fluffy hair, wearing like just regular street clothes, and I was like, yes,
I would have given him a
I'm
smooch.
here for this. I am here. Yeah, the whole
I would've smooched- I would've smooched him.
Ben Skywalker from that point to the end, I was like, I'm here. I'll just watch Adam Driver now. It's cool, guys.
I would've smooched
I'm
him.
cool. I'd have smooched him.
So the only thing that I was going to say, you had mentioned it before about how like his quarters on the ship were just like stark white. That was something that I liked until I realized it was his quarters. Like her walking into the stark white room, I was like, oh, there's that old good
Yeah.
like give me back that design shit of just like stark white everything. But then like at the same time I was like, this is literally on the same ship that like the entire color palette is pewter.
Yeah.
Make it fucking pewter everything.
Yep.
I
And
really
then-
liked it because all I kept thinking was, this place is probably a bitch to clean.
Yeah.
Stark white is a bitch to clean.
And then I'm gonna make the same joke that in the moment when he's down on the planet and he's like, she's in my quarters, they're on the ship, and I just like leaned over to Heather in the theater and was like, oh my god, a girl was in my room, oh my god, oh my god.
Oh my god, there's a girl in the room.
Since we're talking about that scene, that's probably my favorite scene of the movie.
Yes.
Is that lightsaber
battle?
fight was
That's so good.
So good.
that's probably going to bump the score. That probably bumps up my score for this movie like 2 or 3 points because that is like,
That's a couple Clooney's right there for me.
I mean, and that's again something that Ryan Johnson introduced that J.J. Abrams was like, I'm going to carry that over. Like all the other stuff that I really liked about this, the character beats that they carried over, the couple they did, everything introduced in The Last Jedi that they carried over to here. That's like all of that really worked for me, and I think this is my favorite. Like
Yeah, the force.
it worked really well. It works really good. Like conceptually, it's very interesting.
Yeah. No, that was something new.
I really
one
liked the force bond.
battle going on in 2 different places. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
And I really both any of their lightsaber battles really through this entire trilogy, but particularly this movie,
Yeah.
were on point.
Yeah.
Their lightsaber battles were, and that's a huge part of why we come to watch Star Wars. Is
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see my space ninjas with their laser swords. Thanks, that sounds great.
Honestly, I would say the lightsaber play in all 3 of these movies
Space
is
Wizards.
probably the best, I would say. Probably the most emotionally resonant, just as far as like characterization.
I think Luke Vader's still top though.
in Return of the
Jedi.
yeah. That I mean that
The
tracks.
throne room scene is probably like the best scene.
Only because like it is so like that's really the only time we get that
Yeah.
throughout that entire original trilogy.
Yeah.
Like you basically have 2 old guys beating each other around in New Hope, basically a newbie getting schooled, pwned, if you will, in Empire Strikes Back, and then
But yeah.
Oh crap! I lost my train of thought. What was I going to say?
Sorry, Johnny.
Sorry.
Oh yes, about that lightsaber battle in particular. I really liked, in addition to them being able to physically combat each other through the Force, the transference of physical
Yes.
objects.
It was really
Yes.
great.
That was really fucking cool. I really liked that a
Also
lot.
cinematically, like that they would do the circle of like looking at the 2 of them, and you'd see. Even just looking at her, it'd be like the street view, and then suddenly you'd be in the bedroom again, and it
Yeah.
was like, whoa.
Yeah,
the boudoir.
In the boudoir.
the boudoir.
I mean, does he sleep, or maybe he does upside down?
He just
That.
furiously masturbates over the Darth Vader helmet
You know, honestly,
all night long.
and seeing the trailer and how much emphasis they put on that scene of them both like slashing through like that mantle, like they didn't really give anything more to Darth Vader's helmet.
Did not disappoint though.
No, it didn't at all. But I
Sometimes when they put stuff in trailers, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, great. Like the ships rising out of the ice, and I was like, that was too fast, and I didn't. That was not enough of that.
Like what you
But-
see in the trailer is the entirety
it's
of that
literally
shot.
that shot. Yeah.
But what they did with the like, it still was like, because I was like, why are they smacking that? Like, why are they that? It did not disappoint.
No, not at all. I guess I'm just, for me, I'm a little surprised that they didn't focus more on his reverence of Darth Vader. I mean, I guess like
They've done it so much in Force
Yeah.
Awakens, though.
And they
well, no, and not to say that like to have to
they
focus on him actually
do
looking
do
at the
it.
helmet. I mean, just like I was surprised that they didn't try to like flesh that out a little more, or at least like give him more of a moment of where he specifically like says no to that. Like really, all he did was just finally like kind of embrace his dad.
Leia kind of turns him first. really abruptly.
Really abruptly.
Like if the
She basically was like, "Hey, I'm dead."
hey
and
Ben,
then-
and he's like, what?
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, they set that up in Force Awakens, where when it's Han and Ben talking, and Ben's a mama's boy, guys. Like, he's been a mama's boy this whole time. They make that real clear in the beginning that boy's a mama's boy. And his dad could have said whatever the fuck he wanted, and Ben was going to still stab him.
Yeah.
Had that been his mama, the boy's not stabbing his mama.
Well,
his mama dying is not. It's not going to be cool with him.
the interesting thing.
Folks, we're back. We're doing this. We're kind of doing this live because
Doing it live.
Yeah, because
we literally just went and saw the movie.
yeah, and this is gonna be a 3-hour episode, and I'm not going to want to have to go back through and try to cut this together. So, if you folks, this is going to be rough.
Do it.
But you'll love it, folks. You love it.
Don't you fucking dare.
But Harley was going to give us some more Kylo
Shut up, Delilah.
thoughts on Kylo.
He's
Ooh,
fun.
yeah, dazzle us.
Yeah, like
He's cool.
But the scene in Kylo's room where they're doing the lightsaber battle, I think, is the clearest distillation of what those characters have been this entire time.
Yeah.
And if it had gone with that and not tried to do some sleight of hand trickery in the character development portion of this film, it would have worked a lot. Again, you need a bad guy that you're racing and that you're trying to beat somehow, and that they don't really have that because you have he's trying to do the same thing that Rey is, which is get her to the Emperor.
Yeah.
Which is it's confusing.
A little
it's like,
counterintuitive, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and I did mention before with the Knights of Ren, and I wanted to kind of save it for the Kylo thing because it's a big Kylo moment.
Oh, yeah.
Is that the big fight scene between Kylo Ren and finally pop up to do something, which is get pwned immediately, are the Knights of Ren.
Pwned.
I mean, to be fair,
They have
they're
2
wrecking
seconds.
house before he gets a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of, even though that they let him stand there for like 5 minutes,
They kinda just-
staring off into space.
yeah,
Like they give
circle
up
him.
fighting him for a moment.
Yeah.
Maybe because they think he's going to come back
Which-
around to their side.
They kind of set it up where time does something when they go into the Force conversation, because on 3 Tatooine, it turns to nighttime and people are kind of moving in slow motion. So I guess they kind of
Yeah.
set that up, but it's still like. And I think I said this during The Force Awakens, but J.J. Abrams, with some exceptions that I don't think work very well, does not like establishing shots where you can know where everything is at any point in time. Because, like, again, I had mentioned before that he does not like to shoot his spaceships from above.
Yeah.
And that kind of, there are like 1 or 2 shots where you get to see like the Star Destroyers from above, but so much, again, if everything's shot from below. And like in the Kylo Ren scene, like just showing us what's happening with the Knights of Ren, because you can't see them. Like it's a super close up on his face.
Yeah.
And you're like, and there's no sense of spatial relation or what's happened, any kind of, you can't tell what the fuck's going on, going on in so many of these scenes. But again, when they do show you establishing stuff, it doesn't always look great. So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Because I wish some of those interiors had been real interiors that they had filmed on, because things look really small when it's an actor standing on a green screen and it's 100% green screen. Because like when Rey and Kylo and the Emperor are in that big room, it looks really small because they're standing on it like a 10 by 10 square of green screen. They can get edited in later, and it's just like,
Yeah, well, they couldn't give that much space because they were too busy filming Doolittle.
that's true.
They're real
real moneymaker.
The real money making IP that Disney has at this moment.
It's not even Disney.
Is it not?
No.
Oh well, fuck me.
Yeah. It looks like it would be.
Yeah, that actually might explain a little bit, mainly why it looks like.
And I had mentioned.
Trash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had mentioned before that there were 3 people that I think didn't want to be in this movie, and actually Adam Driver was one of those 3 people, I think, that he did not want to be on set because after he turns into Ben Solo, he has like 2 lines of dialogue and then that's it. Like even in moments when he should be saying something, there isn't, like he doesn't get a lot to do. And even in the scenes when he's in, like maybe that's why he's in the helmet so much is because they didn't have Adam Driver on the set.
Oh.
Because like
maybe. So fun fact that I learned the other day.
TIL.
Is it the Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pedro Pascal was never actually on set as the Mandalorian.
Yeah, which is
He's
crazy.
been in a booth the whole time, and that makes me so sad.
Yeah.
I learned that earlier this week, and I chose not to share it with you because it broke my heart, and I didn't want to break yours.
Yeah.
I learned it when we were over doing. We recently went over to a friend's house, and we're making tamales with them.
Okay, yeah, that's what I learned.
Yeah, that's when I learned it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were paying attention or not.
No, I was, and I was.
Welcome
like,
to
I
Tamale
died.
Cast.
You know what I actually learned the other day as well is that what we all actually thought was a puppet is actually Nick Nolte. He's just literally dranking himself to the point where he looks like a shriveled little alien.
I could see it.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like
I have spoken.
because 90% of Adam Driver's dialogue is with his helmet on in this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or his mouth is obscured by his arm holding his lightsaber.
Yes.
They just Atlanta Falcons to every single line of dialogue for him.
Yeah, and like the one I do really like the scene with Han Solo and him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call him Kylo Ren because his
Yeah.
turn into Ben is so abrupt and unearned.
He's only been for like the last 10 minutes of this entire trilogy.
That's like that's a good hour of this movie is the finale though.
Yeah.
But he's only in 10 minutes of it. But that scene is really the only part where he has dialogue with his helmet off, where you can see him the whole time.
And I feel like for me, like that actually resonated. Like that emotional beat, albeit potentially unearned. I think it hit home for me.
For me, like I was still super frustrated that they turned him back. That like I didn't give a shit about him anymore at all.
Well, yeah,
but like
Yeah.
but like Han Solo being there, like the second
That surprised me.
the second you just hear him be is like, "Hey kid,"
Yeah.
and I was just like,
Yeah. Oh, I was like, yeah, exactly.
"Space Dad, fuck."
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think that scene for me maybe did give the character of Ben a little bit more. It put a little more work behind his process in that, like, basically their exchange, Han Solo and Kylo Ren / Ben, whatever you want to call him, their exchange was literally, I mean, the exact same as
Kylo Ben.
Kylo Ben.
let's not turn into every other podcast on this.
Yeah,
Seriously,
sorry.
guys, come on.
Sorry. Pull it together.
God.
I'm sorry. It's only fucking midnight.
30.
That's fine.
Midnight 30.
Yeah. Glad I don't have to
me.
drive 2
So
hours.
yeah, like
It so their conversation was the exact same exchange as The Force Awakens for
Yeah.
the most part, and I think if anything, for me, like it informed, because I guess you just never really sure, like, was he always going to kill Han Solo? Like, was he actually like struggling? Like, did Ben know what he had to do? And I think the fact that he says those exact same lines again and is like, I know what I have to do, but I don't think I have the strength to do it. And then Han is like, you do. And then he finally throws the lightsaber. Like, I think for me, if anything, that showed just how deeply conflicted he was, even in that moment. And if anything, like, stabbing, like, doing the stab, like, was just such, like, a knee-jerk, like, compulsive action. I don't know. Like, for me, that kind of gave it a little more like, okay, well, now I get what that exchange was, so now I can see more where he's kind of come from and where he now is. But
I think for me, this interaction with them like replaying
Yeah.
that like that memory and of like, I feel like this was the like perfect world version of that, where like
Yeah.
this is really like when he said that to his dad, him saying, "Yeah, you've got this," was what he was really hoping he would say in that moment. And
Was
then the
what
fact-
Kylo thought that Han was going to say?
Yes.
Oh,
and then the fact that like that's not how that ended up playing out,
Yeah.
and then like he ended up slipping back.
That's what he needed to hear.
That's what he needed to hear.
Oh, that makes it so much worse. Like good, but like that just gives me the heart.
Also,
The
for
heart
a
pimples.
second, I definitely thought
He's gonna stab him again.
no, he was gonna stab himself.
I thought he was going to stab himself
Thought he
too.
was-
Oh
gonna
shit!
stab himself.
Two seppukus in one day.
But then you wouldn't have our favorite seppuku.
Fucking
Seppuku.
seppuku. Fucking watch some Naruto.
Naruto.
But that would have robbed us of our favorite scene at the end of this movie that we'll
Fuck
talk
off.
about in a minute.
Smoochgate.
When he dies.
Smoochgate.
Hashtag Smoochgate. Jesus.
Too. We gotta
Smoochgate-
wrap this up. Okay.
Smoochgate 2019.
Ready? Focus, focus.
Focus. Focus.
Hocus pocus.
You two are losing it.
Bumpa.
Josh, you just want to have a podcast with just listening. Turn off their mics.
Shut off their mics.
Nice.
So I guess that leads us into our final and most important character,
Final
Claude.
character.
Cloud.
Claude.
Why would you do this to me, Cloud? Folks, don't look up that meme. It's off.
Was it the guy who told them that there was a spy and then his head got thrown on the table?
No, that was in Claude. Claude was literally
I know,
the
no,
giant.
but I'm saying, is that who our final character
Yes.
is? That guy?
Yes, we're talking about that guy.
Got his head sliced off, thrown on the table.
But Claude's
Rude.
scream was so funny when they did the flip. It was literally. It sounded like I don't know if you guys are familiar with this meme, but like this terrible like
Nope. Okay.
it's like
past
a
it.
Sonic like like when you die in one of these stupid 3D Sonic games. It's like oh, and it sounded like that, and it came from the giant slug man.
Oh no.
It made me laugh so fucking hard.
Yikes.
So anyway, moving right along.
So anyway, the real
is the moment obviously gonna tie into this character then because we did not touch on it? The bad moment. The
I wanted
bad
to-
touchy.
I wanted-
Bad touch.
I don't know.
Smoochgate 2019.
We'll save that.
You guys also said
To
you
the
were going to talk about
finale.
something and then you didn't talk about it. Unless I was tuning out for a second.
What was it?
What was it?
Kylo's humor moment during the night.
Oh, that was
Right.
off. That was
Oh,
off mic. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, that did not work for me when he force pulls when she transfers the lightsaber to him, and then he kind of just was like yeah, I got a lightsaber now. What up?
I really
I liked it.
I didn't
sorry.
catch it.
I did, and I
That
thought
went
it
over
was
my
great.
head. Yeah.
But again, I would watch Adam Driver pick his nose at this point
Yeah.
because fluffy hair, street clothes, Adam Driver
It never-
works for me.
It would
My
never fucking
issue-
fit in that helmet. That's
My
all I'm saying.
issue with it was that, like,
The Knights
he's
of Ren were
done-
done so dirty.
well, he has done nothing in these movies to earn a moment of levity.
He had two of them because one of them was also what I liked is when he
jumps
gets to
onto the
planet,
giant
he gets to
chain.
the planet and he's running and he's like, I gotta go get to fucking Ray before
Oh,
she kills
that-
this guy,
ow.
and he jumps on the chain and he goes, ow.
See, I liked the ow because that was like
The owl made sense.
The ow was great.
I like the
I
ow,
let go
but-
of the dark
Yeah.
the dark side, and now I can feel pain again.
a little bit like he's a fucking person again.
He's a fucking person
I
again.
will
Yes.
give him that, I guess.
Because it was definitely like oh right, I can't do that again. Okay, go.
The one thing I liked with the owl, and I mean maybe subconsciously I picked up on it and just didn't realize, but like I feel like when Adam Driver did a good job of when he was Ben, not Kylo, but when he was Ben, it seemed like he actually was showing that he was Han Solo's son.
And this is why I feel really bad that I'm a little conflicted on why you're like, it feels like Adam Driver didn't want to be there because he had definite differences between when he was Kylo and when he was Ben.
Oh yeah.
And that's what Harley's talking about. There were that moments of levity. He showed that he was Han Solo's son. There's a difference in the way he acted when he was Ben versus the way he acted when he was Kylo.
It seemed somewhat
To
nuanced.
where they are now, we have struggles talking about which one's which because he played them so well as two different people.
Yeah.
While still being one people.
I mean, just because someone doesn't want to be in a movie doesn't mean they're going to give a bad performance. My thing was just like how little. Maybe it was just the way that they wrote it, where they don't give him any like. Once he turns into Ben, like there's no emotion for his character. There's no like. there's a literal journey where he goes to Jellicle to fight the Emperor.
Jellicle is as
Stop it. Stop it.
Sorry.
But like, I don't know. It just seemed like they
See, and
didn't want him
that's
to be
when
in the
I
movie.
was picking up
Yeah.
emotion still. Like he's got those moments of levity. He makes eye contact. Like
Well, and he
caught
seemed
emotion still.
like running down to like the Sith temple. He did seem like panicked in a way
Yeah.
that, and I mean,
that
I
he
think,
wouldn't be as Kylo.
yeah, I guess I don't know. I was picking up some stuff, and again, I'm gonna have to watch this movie again to really see if what I was seeing was real or just my like nostalgia love for this movie, just and
Your
wanting it to
hatred
be-
of fucking microphones.
and wanting
Yeah.
it to be really good and wanting to be good, like actually was just
Yeah.
overlaying.
And I
don't
mean,
know.
I'm not trying. Like I said, I hate that he got a. I wanted him to be a bad guy the whole time, and I feel like I'm apologizing for him a lot.
Yeah.
And it may be just because I'm in love with Adam Driver at this point.
Probably.
So it's probably that
I
I'm
mean,
in love with Adam Driver.
It's probably just because for those of you that are on the internet a lot, you probably know that this meme of that. It's probably just because I'm jealous of him because he's ugly hot, which is he's hot in a way that every guy can be. They just don't want to put effort into having a good personality. Anyway, that was a thing I saw online.
Oh.
Maybe my eyes roll into the back of my head.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
I don't know, and I feel like I have to state that I am not apologizing for him because I don't want to be one of those people who are like, oh, but he was a good person deep down inside.
But I mean, did any of us
Nuts.
doubt that he was going to be the redemption arc of this film? Like there was
no doubt.
Yeah, no, they've been broadcasting that since the very first film, and I think unfortunately because we basically have a whole middle film that really didn't add anything to the trilogy because nothing was made or used of it. Like whatever good qualities he has or could have had just were not highlighted enough to make it seem earned or deserved.
Yeah.
And they didn't really try to do anything with that in this film either.
But you know who they did make earn and deserve every bit that she got? Let's talk about Miss Ray.
Ray.
talk about Ray.
Yeah, there's.
She's so fucking charming, can I
Yeah.
just say. I just like when Daisy, not even Ray, but like when Daisy Ridley just gets that big, glowing, beautiful smile like a couple times in this film.
When Daisy Ridley smiles, the world
I can't
smiles,
not.
man.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh. Like, I hope that I am excited for this particular trilogy to be over. Mainly just because I'm excited to see what all of these actors and actresses that we've been introduced to, like, I want to see what they do next. And for her, I'm sure probably Ian McDiarmid is going to do much more because, he's fucking ancient. But, sorry, Ian. But
He's going to be in
he's going to be
Murder on the Orient Express too. Or she is, I mean.
Electric Boogaloo. Oh, she is?
She's in the first one. Might as well be in the second one too.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, maybe I'm not that excited to see what she's in next then, but I don't know. I just feel like I really hope that all of these actors don't just like I hope that they become like a part of like the
Keep
regular
putting Oscar Isaac and John Boyega and Daisy Ridley and
yeah
Adam
and,
Driver and shit
and all
please.
the things and it seems like that isn't going to be slowing any one of these actors down. So
Yeah.
The two, of those four, the two that I'm just like, are they in other things? Would be Daisy Ridley and John Boyega. But like Adam Driver has a pretty sizable filmography right now.
Because I
as
guess
does, like Oscar Isaac.
they-
has,
No,
like-
we're not
weren't-
saying they are. We're saying
no,
put
no.
them
But I'm
in
saying,
shit.
I know. I'm saying like as far as prerequisites going into like who has the body of work that like seems like
Daisy and John were kind of our no names going.
Yeah.
To they were basically like our Carrie. Really, I mean, really, they were our Carrie Fisher and our Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
And that they hadn't really done really much before.
Yeah.
That at least was like an actual like household cat.
really quick. This is a complete aside. But
Yeah,
I
I took us off tangent because we should be talking about Ray.
I know we should, but I'm also going to go off topic a little bit right here because I need to say this because I forgot to say this earlier when we were talking about this character.
Yeah.
Can we just take a moment to appreciate how sexy hot I'm going to call him Old Man Poe Dameron was in this movie? just Poe Dameron, but they seem like they kind of aged him just a
yeah.
little bit.
Oh, he was
He
very.
might have just aged on his own.
I think he aged on his own.
Yeah, I mean,
It's been a minute. It's been a
Yeah.
minute.
Oscar Isaac is how old at this point?
I have no idea.
Just,
He definitely looks older in real life than he does in this movie. I don't
just
know
old
if they
enough.
grade his hair
Just old
for a
enough
movie.
to like treat me right and.
But no, like just from like everything about his like adventurer outfit, it was just like, yeah,
His
bro can get it.
his Nathan Drake costume.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Which
With his fucking
they should kick
Liefeld pouches.
kick Tom Holland off a cliff. Put
I mean,
Oscar Isaac.
don't you do that to my
Get
Spider-Man.
out of here.
Put Oscar Isaac as Nathan Drake.
What? Tom Holland is going to be Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
That
Is that like for babies?
Yeah.
Like babies first, babies first Uncharted. Like
yeah. Oscar Isaac
by
needs
the way,
to be.
Oscar Isaac is 40.
what? Damn.
Well, all right then.
Yeah.
40 out of 10 on my scale of
Hey,
how hot
40
is he?
Clooney's out of 10.
Oh man.
We're gonna get to
Anyways.
Clooney's.
Yeah.
I don't,
Sorry, I got us off topic again.
No.
So
that's-
Daisy Ridley and Ray. The as far as Ray goes, I wish they had not made her a Palpatine because I think that
Yeah.
kind of derails her a little bit in the second half.
Harley talked about this too. I agree that I liked her being nobody.
Yeah, and
I
like
did.
it gives her motive. Like once we kind of get that reveal that she's Ray Palpatine, which just doesn't sound good.
Which is probably why she drops that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once she gets that, she kind of stops being a character and
Yeah.
just becomes
She's the MacGuffin
and
or
like,
the goober.
the goober.
Yeah.
And like
As some say.
she still like Daisy Ridley still has moments after that. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's still putting in the work, but like as written, the character kind of like just becomes not Palpatine at that point instead of Rey being her own person.
Yeah.
And like she does like there's so much that happens in the beginning of this like we actually just watched the 7th episode of The Mandalorian today. In that episode, Baby Yoda
Yeah.
does some force healing, and
Very glad I watched that today as
so
well.
I watched that episode before I watched it the first time when she goes to fix the snake. I was like, oh, they're bringing it back, cool.
Yeah.
And I really liked all the stuff they did with the force, and there's something I wish they had done more that I'll get to later. But like when she's like she gets more character development in the first half of this movie than she did in the first 2 films, I feel like, because like she like what she does with the force and what her character is like, because her character is trying to be like she's trying to become something and she doesn't know what it is, even though later we're told that she actually did know the whole time. But
And she's trying to our establishing shot of her in this movie is her trying to feel connected to something that she just doesn't.
yeah. Which is like I really like that too. Like the physicality of her using the force is really good. Like she doesn't just like fall out of the sky like Luke Skywalker did. Like she does a backflip down off of her floating thing, which is really cool.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Because she doesn't, it's not that she's just not working it and doesn't know how to like disconnect from it. She's just like, this isn't working for me. And it's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Well, it's like she can like say the lines and she can like go through the motions, but like I guess what her end goal is in this film is to like tap into like the pure force, like the pure part of the light side of the force, I guess. Which is almost like having kind of a religious experience that I would say most people like say you can't just like make happen. It kind of has to happen to you. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. Like pseudo spiritual.
The one thing that I was actually surprised about that didn't get me the first time that actually did get me quite a bit the second time, is when she's talking to Leia the second time, and then Leia walks away, and then Rey calls her master, like because that's her Jedi master, and I was like,
Because they don't explain it. They don't explain that Leia is Jedi training her
yeah.
until later in the film.
Yeah.
So watching it the second time
So
around,
there's a bit of
you
a
know
disconnect.
that. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like her getting these, because like people have complained that she can use the Force too easy. I don't give a shit. It's fake, people. It's like she can use the Force. Good. Who cares?
Yeah.
But like the fact that she uses it differently than Luke Skywalker did,
Yeah.
and Anakin Skywalker did, where they were very much, we're gonna push and pull things, which she does too. We're gonna do all this other. We're gonna Force choke. Yes, Luke Force choke people in the Return of the Jedi.
He does.
Don't at me about that.
He does.
He doesn't put those Gamorrean guards to sleep. He fucking chokes them out.
Yep.
Reddit, get off my ass about it. Don't downvote that comment because that's true. It's facts.
Facts. Watch the fucking movie.
Yeah.
But she does that. She does. I think all of the scenes of her using the Force, I think, are really good in this. When it gave me chills more this time when she grabs that ship out of the sky when it's trying to escape.
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah, like that. Give me that sweet.
Yeah,
sweet.
when that happened, I was like, oh my god, they're gonna fucking do it. They're gonna do the thing, and then she grabs the ship out of the air, and I was like, they fucking did
Yeah.
it. Fuck.
I definitely wanted her to just set it down on top of Kylo Ren. But
Yeah, and I kind of
I
feel
just
like,
really
feel like
wanted her
that's-
to grab it and just be like, "Boop."
I mean, that's kind of what I picked up on is that he was pushing and she was fucking pulling that shit on him.
until she, spoiler alert, blows it to hell.
Yeah,
And that was cool. Like that.
Yeah.
Like I think that was the moment where I was like, all of my theories are now wrong.
So my thing, the Force lightning being a connection to Palpatine, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it still could be a clone. The thing that I wish, like we had talked about earlier, about how like that character died, but they're fine.
Yeah.
If I hadn't known that going into this movie, that scene might have had a lot more weight because it would have been like, oh my god, Chewie, no.
No, that's the thing. I didn't know. I thought he was dead. Kari and I we looked at each other and held one another in a way we haven't for years when we thought he died.
I mean, fortunately, it's only like 30 seconds in the movie. because then he comes back.
a long 30 seconds.
It did feel like a long 30 seconds.
There
and
were
I
30
definitely
seconds.
Sat there in
Yes.
doubt, and I was like,
No.
no,
Didn't.
no. And then they're all like, we're gonna do this for Chewie, and I'm still sitting there going, no,
Yeah.
you didn't fucking kill Chewbacca.
No, I literally,
off in the
I can
beginning of
assure
this
you,
film.
whatever was between that scene and when they actually showed that he was actually still alive, I did not retain because I was very much like, I now live in a world where Chewbacca has in canon died on screen.
To be fair, Chewbacca did die in real life.
The only way Chewbacca's
We
ever
don't.
going to die is if he gets a moon dropped on him. God damn it. That's the only way.
yeah.
Damn
Yes.
it.
Yes.
It's the only way you can kill a Chewbacca.
That's true.
Which I will talk about my tearjerker moment after we talk more about.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I cried 3 times in this film.
What? Never mind. I'm going to make that joke. I'll make that joke, but later.
I liked, but yeah, I really liked all the different ways, like the new ways that she uses the Force that we haven't seen on film are really good.
Yeah.
I thought I want to say it's an atom. What she represents floating in the rings of the rocks seemed
Yeah.
a little on the nose.
The nucleus?
The nucleus. Thank you.
The nuclear.
It seemed a little on the
She's only
nose
one.
for like. But I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I
was,
dug it.
It was a cool visual.
I dug it.
Yeah, it's a good
lot.
visual for sure. And I was like, oh yes,
So the biggest disappointment, other than like, if you want to be a Jedi, you can only be a Skywalker or a Palpatine,
Yep.
which is kind of disappointing.
or Broom Kid. We don't know who Broom Kid is.
Broom Kid was murdered off screen by J.J. Abrams. Took him out behind the shed.
No, we'll see him
Old
in
Yeller them.
2024.
No, wait, didn't you know that's Palpatine's great grandson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's Rey's secret child.
Right.
Or it could be her brother.
Well, no, but here's the
It's
thing,
the
though.
kid Han and Leia had, and then
That's
Han left.
Their replacement kid.
Yeah.
Like, well, that one fucked up.
The second anchor baby.
Oh God.
So here again, I think that's the thing that pissed me off about this film because it's had its cake and it ate it too, in that it totally fucked that whole anybody can be a Jedi thing. But then also, reintroduce the fact that anybody can be force sensitive.
Which
Yeah.
they had Finn become force sensitive.
However that like lines up like going forward in the narrative, I'm sure we'll figure it out. Like for example, I mean, Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian.
He got tons of force
He
powers.
got hell of force power,
Lots
and
of
he
force
and he's
power.
and he is neither
He's kind of
Skywalker.
he's kind of a Mary Sue though, because like I didn't see him
That's-
learn how to use the like. Where did he learn it from? Like
I
he didn't
know.
train.
I
Actually,
honestly
no, I'm-
fucking thought you were serious for
Yeah,
a second.
yeah.
Until you finished that sentence, I
No.
was like, I'm gonna come at you like a fucking spider monkey right
I'm
now.
actually glad that you said that selection of words, because fuck that. But also, the one thing that frustrates me about Rey's whole arc and the fact that she is a Palpatine is that in a sense, everyone that had that claim that she was a Mary Sue kind of was proven right by this film, in that she wasn't awesome at the Force because she was just who she was, and she was like a badass like lady just doing her fucking thing. It's because she was Palpatine's offspring. It was that
bit.
she was powerful because of her association with, guess what, a famous dude, and that pisses me off,
the
that gives me the ergs.
the two things at the end that bugged me. One, and I was been promising that I was going to mention Endgame this whole time.
Oh, yeah.
and here it comes.
Absolute
When
power.
when she grabs the lightsabers and he's like, I am all of the Sith, and she says, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
I was like, all the things you could have stolen from Endgame.
So
as far as
silly.
that's the thing that you took, like, because there was I can understand knowing. 'Cause I'm sure J.J. Abrams was aware of what they were doing with Endgame, because the
course.
whole Disney, like, they're like, look, we're finishing two big epics this year. Try not to do the same story. So he read their script. He was like, fuck, they're going back, playing the greatest hits of this series, wrapping everything up into a neat little ball.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do that.
but
There's ways they could have made it clean.
Sorry, clutch my pearls real quick. Was Endgame earlier this year?
Yes.
yeah, dude,
Oh my god!
it's been a year.
oh my god!
This has been
Yeah.
the longest year that just flew by in the whole entire universe.
Serious? What the
Truly.
fuck?
Yeah.
But yeah, her doing their I am Iron Man moment, I was
God
like,
damn it. I literally remember Falcon Kick when we once saw Captain America Winter Soldier, and I literally yelled Falcon Kick
as
in the-
Falcon comes in and kicks the dude off the
in the theater.
helicarrier.
I literally said I am Iron Man in the theater, and I think I may have ruined that moment for a lot of people, because a lot of people laughed.
because like
I felt like a fucking dick.
it's even like paced out the same.
Yeah,
She's like, I am all the Jedi.
Yeah.
The thing that I wish they had done, and they had, and I know that they had set it up so that Kylo could do it.
Yeah.
But I wish she had used, because the Emperor's thing is the dark side is the Force is essentially all living things.
Yeah.
And so the dark side would be the opposite of that, where like you're controlling death, essentially.
Yeah.
And so they kept setting up that she has the power to like transfer or like to control the Force
Yeah.
and to give things life. And instead of her doing her Wonder Woman bracers lightning back at the Emperor, I
Yeah.
wish they had brought that power, because like they kept
Same.
setting up she has Force, but I was like, oh, she's going to walk up to him and she's going to light side of the Force him away.
Yeah.
And that is going to like reset the having to have a balance, because what it is that all these people are going back and forth killing each other.
Yeah.
And that's like perpetuating this, and she's going to break the cycle.
And actually bring balance to the Force.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
she's going to take this character that's like been the avatar of death in the universe
Yeah.
for so long, and like she's going to use the light side of the Force and get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
But instead she just
Reflects his power back to him.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the take
Does the thing that Mace Windu couldn't do.
because he didn't have two lightsabers.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Also, because I don't know if the light force would have worked that way.
Yeah.
I think
I
she
mean,
would have had to
it's-
use the dark side to get rid of him.
I guess like as far if you were to like dig into like the actual technicality of like her using a life-giving force to basically murk the emperor, like I mean, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. But also he's zombied, so maybe he just like uses like turn undead or
Like
something.
if you look at it from the sense of like he is not really living anymore.
Yeah.
So she is really just cleaning out all of that and just reducing him
purifying,
to what, like,
whatever dark will controls him.
And that's just like
It would have been
thematically, it would have made something as opposed to
Just
a big
zapping
light show.
Totally. And narratively it would make sense, but technically maybe people would get weird about it, but fuck them.
Oh my god. I'm sorry. I'm still piecing together the I am Iron Man moment from in my head. Was like, wait a minute, she does the I am Iron Man thing.
Yeah.
Kills Thanos.
Yes.
And then falls down dead. God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally the thing.
It's literally the thing. And the second comment that Kari made, my wife made in the theater, that made me fucking spit Guinness on myself. It was a very big glass.
52 ounces.
22. Holy fuck me. I didn't know they came that big.
That's what she said.
Not to me, my friend. Not to me. She
Wait a minute.
Self-burn? Yeah, that's a little
Okay, sorry. Keep going.
Yep.
You're saying.
Kari leans over to me and is like, how fucking funny would it be if they just kept bringing each other back to life for like the rest of the film? And just like this, and just
like
this
he
fucking,
does it, she falls down dead.
Yeah.
She does it back, falls
and
down
this
dead again.
chain of like they basically just slowly pan out, and it's just like him bringing her back to life, and then her bringing him back to life. And it's like,
That's kind of like someone had edited in the speaking of the Black Widow trailer. There's a scene where Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson like trade their guns.
Yeah.
Someone had edited it together, so it's just them doing that back and forth forever.
Jesus Christ.
I like that. I like that a lot. Anyways, like it was just silly, but the visual just fucking I had to like really fucking control myself for a couple minutes.
Heather is groaning almost silently, but not quite.
Yeah.
Trying.
Why?
So what's
on your
going
mind?
on?
Yeah.
Hit us up. Let us know what's going on.
Are you tie-tie?
I'm really mad about one thing. I love this movie, and I'm really mad about one thing. Ray should not have lived.
Oh.
Spicy take.
I mean, that would have worked too.
Because here's why.
Should
is
Adam
that this
should
whole fucking 9 films, 40 years has been all about balance to the Force, correct? Correct? And we finally have the showdown between the Emperor, who is all of the Sith.
Yep.
And Rey, who is
All of the Jedi.
all of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And she defeats him.
You think it's just been all wiped out?
Yes, because now we have Rey out there living, who is all of the Jedi. She is all of the good side of the Force. That's not balance.
No.
That's not balance. The whole fucking rule of 2 is that there's constantly balance and one should not outpower the other. It's my whole theory on why fucking Baby Yoda was born at the same time as Darth Vader was fucking born, because they are, yes, that is my theory currently. Thank you. They are balances
it works.
to each other. The math works.
Oh, the timeline works out, bro.
Yeah, they are balances to each other. A very strong light Force user was born at the same time as a very strong dark Force user.
Wait, I thought the
Daisy
Mandalorian
Ridley
takes
and-
place after the fall of the Empire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5
he's
years after
50
Return of the
years
Jedi.
old, honey.
He's 50 years old. 50 years before 5 years after Return of the Jedi.
Would have been about the time that
Is
Vader
the
was born.
Yeah.
Vader?
Vader.
Anakin Skywalker.
Anakin Skywalker. We'll do the math.
Anakin Skywalker.
We'll do the math later. I've done the math for our
Anakin
podcast.
Skywalker is alive before the original trilogy.
Correct. He is a
And-
child of the age of about 10 during
Oh,
the
because
first.
Baby Yoda's 50. That's it. I got
There
it.
it is.
I got
There
it.
we
I
go.
got it.
Numbers
I got it.
work.
I got it. Math is good.
That's how we do the math.
Oh.
I'm
Okay.
an accountant.
So,
Hey.
but then-
my
God
whole
damn.
thing is that,
I know.
and that's what I really wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I really wanted for these films.
Yeah.
It's what I've talked about on all of these films. Is what I really thought was going to happen with
Yeah.
Luke in 6, 6, especially since he's wearing all black and then it flaps open. The iconic scene of his all black outfit flops open and we see his white. He was good on the inside all the time. I thought Luke was supposed to ultimately represent the perfect balance, that the going forward Jedis would become both light and dark because Luke had a touch of light and
But I
dark.
think that's what Rey is.
No, because Rey
Because
does
she's
not,
Sith and Jedi.
but she is Sith by blood, but nowhere else, and she does not choose to follow that side of herself. She is 100% all of the Jedi. She is just light force.
To the point where like Luke, I think it's Luke, literally says to her when he's talking about like the fact that she's a Palpatine, but he's like, yeah, but like you also
Blood's not everything.
blood's not everything. Like you also now embody all of the Jedi.
You are who you are, not who your blood is.
So
Which
her
is the
blood basically
opposite
is-
of what... So Rey's being told one thing by the light, and Kylo's being told the opposite also by the light. Yeah. It's just who's being told. Kylo's being told your blood is what
Makes
matters.
you who you are.
Makes you
Yeah.
who you are. And Rey's being told your blood
No, no,
isn't
no,
who
no,
you
no, no,
make
no, your
you
blood
are. It's
doesn't
your
matter.
actions.
Which I guess, like, I mean, so as far as the rule 2, then yeah, I guess there is still an imbalance.
There's an unbalance.
Which then unfortunately brings us up to like, okay, well then when's the sequel?
Yeah, and that's why
40
I
years from
really
now,
liked
hopefully.
that she saved the day. She got to
Yeah.
see that she saved the day, and then she just kind of falls over dead. And I don't want Rey to die because I love Rey and I think that she's great, but I feel like that was a great finality to that. The last of the Emperor, the last of the Sith is dead.
Yeah.
Rey, the last of the Jedi, also dead.
And
we
then
have no more. I mean, now we just have Force users. We don't have
Yeah.
these two ancient forces that have been fighting
the
against each other.
dogma
since the beginning.
has been extinguished.
We
finally.
just have Force users and Force sensitive people like Finn out there who can feel these things, but they aren't.
I mean, that would have worked. That also would have worked with what I wanted to happen, where she uses the Force to beat him and not lightsabers.
Yeah.
Of she uses her life force powers. They absorb into that ball of light, and that explodes, and they become the Force, and it's done.
The end.
But
Yeah.
instead, you get the Iron Man line. She swings her lightsabers and beats him up. Kylo Ren crawls up from the bottom of a bottomless pit,
Yeah, I didn't get that either.
and so I guess.
And then we get the horrendous.
So we'll talk about the bad scene, but there's a couple more good things, a couple more good moments
there's
with
still-
Rey that we can talk about,
I
so
feel
that
like
it
we
doesn't
should just
end
talk
on a
about, like,
bad.
the last 15 minutes.
Yeah. So the bad touch.
Smoochgate 2019.
As soon as he picked her up and was like holding her and cradling her, I was like, oh no, this is getting real close.
They were going in for it.
I will say she plays a really good dead body, because that was unsettling.
Yeah,
where she's like her
it
blank
was.
stare and like staring. I was like, holy fuck, did they actually kill Daisy Ridley for this shit?
I feel like she's been an extra on like some CSI.
Yeah.
Seriously, god damn.
But yeah, Kylo Ben. So I guess he's Ben now.
He's Ben.
as we'll find out in a moment.
Uncle Ben.
Revives her through the power of
Ew,
love.
don't know. Ew.
He brings her back, and this is
Smooches.
This is where the
No, stop it.
of love.
The power. Yeah.
he puts his hands all over her, which also made me even more uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, like right on the
tummy.
And he starts doing his yoni breaths, and then he starts doing his kegels.
I was definitely doing some kegels for that entire scene.
And then she wakes
I
up.
was clenching something.
And then she wakes up, and there's a moment, and this is when I would like everyone to remember the last two films where he's been physically and emotionally and mentally abusing her
Yeah.
for 6 hours. 6 hours of that we're seeing this abuse. I mean, like in The Force Awakens, he's doing the mind R to her.
Yeah.
And the only reason it doesn't work is because she's more powerful than he is.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. And it is now
So,
canon that Rey has granddaddy issues. So
I also want it known that this is the only time I was shushed in the theater today because they start kissing and I just sunk down into my recliner seat to look over to Josh, who's pulling the 8-year-old, ew, gross, kissing's bad, and literally refusing to look at the screen.
I saw it once. This is the only Star Wars adjacent thing that I'd ever been uncomfortable with is in Spaceballs with Pizza the Hut because that makes me physically nauseous to see like that goop fall. That's like
It's
fucking
not-
disgusting.
It's not good. It's not
So that makes me that upsets my stomach every time. This is the only other time when I've been like physically ill watching something happen because like it's so disturbing.
It's not.
Who this guy has
very
been.
moment that she is like, I wanted to take your hand, but you as Ben. I was like, bitch, you don't know Ben.
Yep.
You have not known Ben at all.
Yeah, like this guy you've never met. You mean?
Yeah.
Say hello to your Stockholm syndrome, honey.
Yeah,
Yay,
right.
it's here.
Also, can I just say how unbelievable it is? Like, I have never at any point thought that Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley are even close to the same age.
They are. So Adam Driver's 6 years older than me, and Daisy Ridley is 3 years younger than me. So they are 9 years apart.
That's
they're
like about the same as Kari and I.
I was gonna say it's actually not that creepy because
Sorry, babe.
she is 27 and he's 36.
I mean, when you put it,
Yeah.
age ain't nothing but a number, baby.
He's 36 and she's 27. It's not icky actually.
I don't
But-
know
It's
what
not.
planet I'm
They're
from.
supposed to be the same age, though.
But yeah, this is what. So I got shushed. I want it known that this butt face over here that I'm married to shushed me because I sat back up from this and I was like, okay, now stabby stab. Stabby stab. I was like, I'm okay.
You didn't even whisper that quietly, though. You were just like, and now stabby stab.
Stabby stab.
Now stabby stab. And I was like, no, we are in a fucking theater
I
right
don't
now.
care. Harley can yell Iron. I am Iron Man. I am allowed to yell stabby stab.
So it's not their age
So
difference.
that was actually the second time I had
It's the
talked.
emotional and physical abuse for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not their age difference that makes it uncomfortable. It's I just never, I don't believe that. Like the movie, they're trying to tell you that they're both 19 in The Force Awakens. Like that motherfucker, Adam Driver does not look anywhere near 19 in The Force. Like, don't try to tell me that they were born at the same time. That's not believable.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah.
But-
So no, I got shushed because my stabby. I thought if she's gonna kiss him, she now needs to stab him.
It's
Stabby stab.
That would have been crazy, and I think
I wanted
poetic.
her to Kylo Ren his Han Solo ass.
Yeah.
At least in the second viewing that we did together, there weren't cheers. In my first viewing, people were cheering when that happened.
No. Okay, first of all, if you cheer in a movie theater, they can't fucking hear you. You're a monster.
That's what you fucking think.
They feel it in their hearts through the Force.
Yeah.
God damn it.
really don't though.
Yeah.
Like people who clap at the end of movies, fuck off.
Yeah. The other thing I think was
White people, calm your
Yeah,
shit
don't
down.
be that
I'm
white
that
person.
guy.
Calm your shit
I'm
down.
that white
Harley.
person.
Are
I
you also
clap.
the kind of whitey who claps when the plane lands?
Yes.
the other unearned moment is when she calls herself Rey Skywalker. That's meaningless. Like it's just J.J. Abrams being like, she was a Skywalker the whole time. Reddit. All the like he tries to
wink,
do every.
See, I didn't get like bad touch feels from that moment. That
I mean, it's definitely not as bad as what we just watched a few minutes before.
Well,
Yeah,
No,
it's
but
not.
like-
It's not a bad touch feeling. It doesn't really. I felt like it was kind of like ugh. It didn't really feel super.
Oh, see,
earned.
I liked it because
I
it
do
was
too.
her. It
I
was
get it. It's
was-
her choosing. It's her deciding that it doesn't matter who she's related to. It's who you choose to be, and that
Yeah.
feeds into.
Yeah.
again
the
the
nobody-
like my
yeah.
big takeaway from this movie was
Same.
that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated it for its narrative, I guess, intent. It just felt a little weird.
I just want to know if she's gonna become a milk farmer now.
Purple milk, get that purple milk. They were moisture farmers.
Yep. Sure. Is she gonna drink the blue milk or no?
I mean, maybe.
No.
I actually really liked a lot of this ending. First off, I did not expect Rey to go back to the Rebel base with
No,
them.
no.
I definitely thought she was getting in that
Yeah.
in that X-wing and just
Fucking right off.
God and bye. Rey's
Yeah.
gone. We don't know where she.
3000.
Yeah, I thought she was gonna go pull a Luke Skywalker,
Which would have been kind of cool.
which
but-
would have been kind of cool.
I mean, I think she did end up doing that.
However,
anyways, but-
I think she did too. However, the scene of the three of them finding each other and hugging it out.
That was
That was good
I
stuff.
did not take account in the moment of like watching the movie, but that was a cry moment.
Yeah, no,
For sure.
I
I
wept.
teared up.
I
I
wept.
definitely, I did. And what it really gave me was that sense of final closure.
Yeah.
Like this was it. The end. Hello. We've made it, folks.
So Harley had mentioned this earlier that the script is really bad, and I think the greatest example of that is actually going back to Finn real quick. So when they're in the desert on 3-2-ine and they're sinking in the sand,
Yes.
he's like, "Ray, I never told you." Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And
Never.
they bring it up like 3 or 4 more times,
'cause Poe-
and it doesn't fucking go anywhere.
Poe wants to know. He wants to tell her that he loves her.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
but
Then
why-
fucking do it.
No.
Did she ever
don't
get off
call
the pot?
don't call this much attention to it if you're not.
Like
I
that's.
can't do it in front of Poe because I'm also in love with Poe.
I mean, that could be if they had done. I don't know why it's in the movie.
I don't either.
It's a little weird, and I
It's
think
something that they set up. They
if
didn't. end up using.
anything, I feel like that was solely to appease fans who wanted
It's the people that were like,
Faye
yeah, we can go with Faye. Faye's
or
good.
Ren.
No, this is so much like
No.
Finn.
I like
Faye is better.
I like Faye.
it's
It
definitely for the
differentiates.
people that were
Yeah.
upset that Finn got quote unquote friend zoned in
Yeah.
the Force Awakens, which is shitty.
Yeah.
But like, that was really bad when they did it, and they kept going back to it, and they kept going back to it, and it doesn't go anywhere.
Doesn't do anything.
Again, I
Hangs
understand.
in the air like a wet fart.
Ew. Ew. Why is it wet? What did you
know.
eat?
It's been eating a lot of Taco Bell lately.
Yuck.
But don't, because they're racist.
We're gonna have to unpack that.
Yeah,
I understand, however shitty the rationale was, why they had that running gag joke thing, whatever. However, I am still happy that they didn't feel like they had to couple everybody off at the end of this film.
yeah, I was really.
I think
don't-
did we already talk about Finn and Jana?
We did a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we touched on that a little bit. And, like, I was really worried that, like, non-proper terms aside, I was very, like, don't just make the black people date because they're both black.
Yeah,
Please,
that's-
for the love of God, don't do that.
That's kind of what I was worried about going into this film, that was going to be.
Yeah. And especially when they made them parallels of each other.
Yeah.
I was like, no. Bad touch feels.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So there's three more things I think to touch on, before we can wrap up this goddamn.
Before I can be free.
Two good things, but one
Because now it's almost
1:30 in the morning.
At least we haven't cried yet.
Yeah, there is. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
I had mentioned that there were 3 people that I think didn't want to be involved with this movie.
Yeah, you said it was Oscar Isaac.
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver, and I don't think J.J. Abrams wanted to come back. I think he felt he was obligated to, because I think if they had delayed this movie just by a year, if they had just been like, you know what, we fired our director and writer, like
Who still got
year-
a credit on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, for writing, right?
Yeah.
story credits, so like literally nothing he did ended up in here.
Yeah.
But like they fired the writer and director a year before the movie's supposed to come out. They bring back J.J. Abrams,
Which is so bonkers that this was all done like a year.
I guess
in
maybe a year and a half, which is still stupid short for a movie
Yeah.
like this.
Honestly, this film, with that all in mind, like the fact that there was a writer and a director and he got fucking canned, and then the fact that The Last Jedi was what it was in relation to this film, like this film, I honestly think has no business being as good as it turned out.
Yeah.
Considering, like really
Of all the
considering.
components that went into making it.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, this should have been like the Aliens 3 of Star Wars films.
Yeah,
And it wasn't. Like it was very in my opinion, it was very passable. If anything, it just tried to correct too much and tried to appease too many people, when I feel like we had made some kind of bold steps in the last film. But that's just me.
yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I just get the feeling that he took this out of an obligation. Like he felt he had to, because they were running up against the clock that was quickly coming.
Yeah.
He was already he already knew everybody on the crew. He was already in this world. He knows Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
And I think, giving that, I think Bob Iger or Kathleen Kennedy should have been like, you know what? all of these movies had 3 or 4 years of development.
Yeah.
We need to bump this back a year. No one's going to not watch this if it comes out in 2020 instead of 2019.
Absolutely.
The original movies didn't come out every other year. There was 3 years in between.
3 years in between.
We got it, and
Prequels did that again too.
Yeah, like even though that didn't really help those, like
I mean, yeah, but
you can't help George, but I think for me, where I think this could have gone versus where it ended up is it's the disappointment gap is what really gets me. Like,
Yeah.
it is better than it should have, or than it should have been given the circumstances, but given what it is,
Yeah.
and where it's kind of ends up in film history of the United States and really
Yeah.
across the world, like one of the money people should have been like, we can't do it. Let's do a couple more. Let's do a little bit more work. Let's iron out, because this is definitely like there are things where if they had done another draft of the screenplay, they would have combined some characters. But since like Chris Terrio and J.J. Abrams were just emailing these things back and forth, and one of them accidentally sent it to Kathleen Kennedy, and they're like, uh-oh. And she's like, approved, let's get this out. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, I guess we're in it now.
Oops.
But yeah, those are my 3 people that I think it's not that they did a bad job, but it's that this isn't where, and it's because Adam Driver was too busy making Marriage Story, which that's a whole nother can of worms.
And I really feel like, especially with like JJ, in terms of feeling pressured into doing it, like I feel like his name got floated, and then you immediately got those reactions from John Boyega and Daisy Ridley of just being like, thank fucking God
Yeah.
that we are back in the hands of somebody that like we feel comfortable around.
Yeah.
And like is treating their characters like actual characters and not just like, how can I dunk on this person? How can I dunk on that person?
Except for homewrecker Donald Gleason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever that guy did. Fuck
Yeah.
that guy.
So the 2 things that I want to kind of focus on at the end, because like for me, it is kind of a toss up 50-50 on the things that I like versus what I didn't like. And at the end, like, it's going to go either way. But one of the things that worked really well on me, I don't know, words, it's late.
It did a real good. Wait,
It did it real good to me. Both times was when they get back from their mission to 3-2-ing, or when they get back from the
Snowy Planet.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they find out that Princess Leia has died. Like, Chewie's breakdown is like the worst thing I've ever
Okay.
seen in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's three times I cried in this movie, and I knew that Leia's death was gonna make me cry, and it wasn't. It's like I almost went into a state of shock
Yeah.
when she died on screen, and I just had started, and I knew I was gonna cry. Like, my body went into. I think I went into shock, from shock to full on body sobbing. And it was right at the same time that Chewie, like
I thought I was going to get through it with just like a couple tears here and there from the
Yeah.
different character reactions, and then as soon as it got to Chewie, it was game over. Man.
what made it worse is when I remembered that Peter Mayhew is also
Yeah.
passed on in the meantime, and I was like, this is it for both of them. Like they can't bring them back at this point, and it was just like that. I can't. Nope.
I think, unfortunately, when Princess Leia or General Leia in this film actually dies, I think it was just a little bit too disconnected for me to really hit home, and so I kind of thought I got away with it without sobbing deeply, like only a man can at a kid's sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, the like when Chewie finds out, and it's like not only has Han died, but now literally the last of his like
Family.
old guard friend group has died, and he literally just like crumples. I had
it's
to
not
tuck.
just the yell.
Yeah, no, I had to I had to tuck myself into my arm for a couple moments and just have a little emotional walkabout.
Yeah, I wore makeup to the movie and then was like, oh
Same.
my,
That was a mistake.
Same.
That was a bad decision.
Bad choice.
I know. I
We
came
knew going into this that would have been a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know why I did it, but I did.
Yeah.
And I came out looking not like a raccoon, which I thought I would. Definitely
It
didn't
also
have
helps
makeup on anymore.
During that Chewbacca scene when they don't undercut it immediately with a joke, which every
No.
other time they did.
That was the one time where they really gave like grief in this film, like
Yeah.
a real chance to like live and breathe. And I guess I don't know. I went to this film like anytime Carrie Fisher was on screen, I was just like, oh man. I feel like that might have kind of helped me prep a little bit more, knowing that she was going to pass. But yeah.
Yeah, I kept waiting for. I'm like, is this going to be the last one?
Yeah.
Is this going to be the last one? Is this
Yeah.
going to be the last
And
one?
the thing that like really, I think her actual, the actual character on screen dying didn't hit for me, is because it was a body double.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like
And
it
in
was
all-
one of those things where like they had filmed this entire movie and then she passed away. Like the fact that so much of this is done with like a stand-in,
Yeah.
it's kind of just like I wanted this to hit so much harder.
yeah,
and then
with-
it fucking did, and I
And
was
then,
like,
and then it does,
okay.
and then the bass drops. I'm like,
Yeah.
and they're also like they also undercut that with cutting back to Ben Solo a bunch of times, which I didn't care about.
yeah.
yeah.
Which like if you don't actually see General Leia on the Death Star, right?
No, it's literally you. It's like a smash cut.
It's like it's
to
just a
her-
silhouette.
Yeah, in whatever little alcove she's in,
Yeah.
like from behind, like like a
Yeah.
backlit.
Using all of her power to
Yeah.
to just speak to him.
Yeah.
just to reach out.
Yeah.
I think if it focused on her, and maybe if she had bent, like you could digitally add, like you digitally added her into every other scene, put her in, have him actually see her. I feel like might have helped that a little bit instead of just staring at his face.
Yeah.
So that scene got me a lot.
Yeah.
I got misty eyed when the three of them are hugging at the end.
Oh, same.
And
Yeah.
they're just like, not only are they hugging Finn, who has been always the connect between Rey and Poe, but then Rey and Poe holding hands behind Finn, and then bracing arms and like hugging.
And it's like hugging, and they're like smiling and kind of laughing, but also it's like
Crying.
just the fucking like trauma, grief, sadness
Yeah.
release. All like I feel like all like it goes through to all of their faces, and they're all like processing.
Well, that's the first time they're all together since
Yeah.
Leia passed away too.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot. It's a lot. So I cried then, and then I thought I was good, and
Nope.
I thought I was good, and then that last
Twin sons.
fucking scene. You know what got me crying before we even hit that was when the person asked her what her name was, and she looks over and Force ghosts, and it's Carrie and Mark, and I just
And Hayden Christensen.
no Hayden Christensen.
And Yoda.
Yeah, no,
And Obi-Wan.
yeah, no. When
And
it's
Ben
just
Solo, because fuck you, Ray.
And Mace Windu being like, who the fuck's all these?
Who are all these motherfuckers?
yeah, and when it's just the two of them standing there looking at her, just like with
Yeah.
all of that love, and I that's when I cried, and I cried through the twin sons, but I was like, thanks guys.
Well, because those are basically that was her mom and dad, basically.
Yeah.
That's everybody's space moment.
I do appreciate that they played all the hits of the John Williams score at the during the credits. That was really cool. I wish they had dropped maybe a couple more, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this off mic, I think. No, we talked about it on mic.
no, we didn't.
The them playing Vader's theme.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In when they're on the Death Star and they're playing the Imperial March with some high pitched violin or something, and it was just creepy and friggin' great.
Yeah.
And I have said this before on the podcast, and I'll say it many more times. I don't pay attention to sound. I don't pay attention to scores unless they are really, really good
Yeah.
or really, really bad. And of course, Star Wars is on the really, really good.
Yeah.
And it just every time I hear the Imperial March, I still like get chicken skin, and I just having it at that with that different instrument, having that it felt like it was at a different tempo or something was different about it, and I just fracking loved it.
There is a lot of really good kind of redos of a lot of classic themes, like the Imperial March. I know they did like a couple different variations of like the First Order / Kylo Ren's theme.
Yeah.
Like the brr, 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 brr.
Which is a really good one.
Yeah, and then the one that really got me was when Rey, I think, is like coming to terms with the fact that she probably is has some relation to the Emperor. They play like a very like solemn, almost like so slow that you almost can't tie the notes together in a way that makes it sound like the Emperor's theme, but it's like this very like soft, like melancholy piano, and that like fucking just made the hair on the back of my neck stand up.
Yeah, the one I really liked was at the end, which is probably because it's a super close-up of Daisy Ridley's face.
Yeah.
But then also doing that, but also starting to play her theme to that as she's like finally getting to connect to the Force.
Yeah. Yep.
John Williams, never die.
Please.
Seriously.
Ooh, he will never die. I mean, because all this music is so iconic, and it's so like it is a character of Star Wars as much as any of the characters in the film,
And more so than some.
and more so than Rose for sure.
So Heather and I were talking about it while we were driving home. But when Rey is astral projecting herself up into the stars and like connecting to the Force, so everybody heard like all of the voices, right?
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Even some that I didn't recognize because I don't watch the god-awful cartoon.
See, one of those I did know was going to be in there because I had heard that there was going to be an Ahsoka Tano cameo in this.
Yeah.
And so when I heard her voice, I was
That
like,
was cool.
oh, that was it.
That was
That
cool.
was that they did it.
So yeah, we were naming all the cameos because we heard Anakin's in it, Obi-Wan's in it.
Both Obi-Wans.
Yeah.
Was it both?
I told
heard
you
Ewan
Alec
McGregor,
Guinness
but I
was
didn't
in
hear
there.
Alec
Because
Guinness.
at
Ewan
the
McDonald
end,
and
they bring
also-
back the Alec McGuinness saying Ray.
Yeah. Right.
I knew it. So we get
Liam
we get-
Neeson, that was a surprise.
Liam Neeson
Neeson.
was in there. Mace Windu.
Oh, yeah.
Mace Windu was in
That
it.
was kind of funny because
I
it's
didn't catch that
Samuel Jackson has never fit into Star Wars.
no,
No, not at
which
all.
is fine. Which is
Yeah.
You got Yoda twice.
Use the Force, motherfucker. Yeah, getting Yoda in there.
It was just great.
Or maybe it was Baby Yoda.
It was probably Yoda twice.
Baby Yoda was.
I guess Freddie Prinze Jr. was in there, but again, I don't watch the show. Sam Witwer, but again, I don't watch the cartoons.
Who the fuck's this pretty?
He plays.
Oh, he's like the main character of Rebels, isn't he?
Yes, he's like
Like the main older one,
Yeah,
not the kid one.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, there were like a bunch of like Easter eggs of like the ship from Rebels
Yeah.
is in the big like fleet shot, as is like some other ships as well from like other shows.
Yeah.
show up in that big,
Oh, really?
like splash shot. Yeah,
That's cool.
Oh, folks, it's been a long night. There's one more scene I want to talk about, and it's one of those scenes where I wish they hadn't included it in the trailer because when it happens, I think it would have been much more impactful if I hadn't seen it already. But it's the scene on 3 Duin where Rey does the flip over Kylo Ren's thing. That's such a good scene.
I don't know, man. Like that got me so jazzed. Like I think that was the scene in the trailer that got me back on board with Star Wars.
Yeah, but
So I'm not super bummed. And it didn't really do that much in the film.
that's like the first time where she's like using her Mega Force powers.
I guess. I mean, she basically was floating rocks.
Anybody can. Luke Skywalker can do that shit.
Yeah,
That's
but not making herself the fucking nucleus of an atom with rocks. And like force pulling herself around. And then she did the Force Unleashed sword throw. Lightsaber throw.
the lightsaber
That
throw.
shit was dope. I don't know.
Yeah.
It probably would. I mean, this is the exact problem. It probably would have resonated a lot more with me if I hadn't seen it in the trailer. But I think that so you're right is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're right, but I think that it was worth it because like just like I don't know. That's the thing with me like being so I like latch on to like okay, back up. My problem with trailers is that if I see a scene with a certain like music cue, and if it's like a really fucking pandering music cue that I get excited about,
Yeah.
I feel like I am always bummed out by that same scene in a film.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want the fucking John Williams score. I want the fucking of the fucking Inception shit in the actual movie of Inception, which unfortunately we actually did get. But yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Quick thing.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been
boy.
looking at him. I've been looking at him all night. How does everybody feel about how much 3PO was in this movie?
It got by the time that they were like underground on 3-2ing, it was starting to get a little too jokey.
Yeah.
Like by the like 10th time in like 20 minutes, they had made a joke about how C-3PO was obnoxious. I was like, okay, we get it. Let's keep the movie going. Let's not stop. And then as him not being himself is like a scene and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't even have time to be like, oh man. And again, like it's just him not being 3PO anymore is just a joke that Poe Dameron gets to play on everybody.
Yeah.
I was like, oh. So like because in the original films, he was the only comic relief character.
Yeah, him and R2.
And it's only, I want to say, only Han and Leia hated him. I feel like Luke was always on his side.
Yeah.
So to have everybody shitting on C-3PO all the time or ignoring him until you're supposed to be like get the tickles and then he's getting shit on again immediately after that, it kind of like diminishes any impact a little bit.
I think that it would have been okay if they would have continued having him as a comedic character up until the point where he makes like the sacrifice. And I think that the fact that they used that just to like find the MacGuffin, the goober, sorry, and not like have it be a little bit more of like an actual impactful sacrifice for me just made it all kind of fall flat. Yeah. So I mean, I enjoyed having C-3PO in the film just for having C-3PO as just fan service, but I don't really think that what they brought his character on to do actually landed for me.
Yeah. I will say I like that he moved the way C-3PO was supposed to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hear that Attack of the Clones?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not swinging.
Yeah.
The one joke that I really did like is when they're on 3-2ing and they're running to go get those air speeders. And like after all that, he comes up and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I made it too." That was actually funny because he was actually getting one on them. Exactly. Like he's like giving it back a little bit.
You didn't ask, sir, but I'm doing just fine.
Yeah. When he gives it back, it was funny, but like,
yes,
they're so bad. They treat him so poorly for what he does in this, and it was like, ooh.
Yeah. Although if anything, I don't think I would necessarily want them to have changed how they had C-3PO because I feel like we get so much quality Boba Frick time.
Babu Frick.
Babu Frick. Not Boba Fett. Boba Frick time and just him his interaction with C-3PO.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't necessarily want to throw that baby out with the bathwater.
That's fair.
But
and he's pretty tiny. He really would just go right down the drain.
Exactly. I know. He wouldn't have to throw it out. Just literally just flush the little bastard.
Yeah. I don't think we didn't really touch on it, but you seemed like you had some odd mouth feels about Palpatine force lightning the entire fleet almost into oblivion.
I thought that was fucking stupid.
It was just
That was fucking
No,
dope.
actually, I did think that was dope.
It was just
Force lightning's kind of the Uber weapon.
well, it doesn't help that it was just the Return of the Jedi scene again.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
because he literally does Teray the
Look at
your
your pathetic fleet.
like he opens up the sky window so she can look at the ships being blown out of the sky like in Return of the Jedi. And then he goes and sits on his throne and he's the fully operational emperor, and he starts shooting. I was like, this is kind of just a less good version of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
So that's my only.
That
it looked good.
fucking sound effect though.
Yeah.
Was super cool.
Was super cool.
Well, because they did that thing again where they just cut out.
They
Yeah.
cut out, and then once he like releases it,
Yeah.
that like super concentrated like noise. Like that was great.
And it's like with a lot of my complaints are aesthetically it all works.
Yeah.
Thematically it's really hit or miss.
Yeah.
And so that's my. The other thing I was thinking too is that, and after this we'll start the Clooney's because
yeah,
we've gone on
3.5.
is that with the original trilogy, every time I watch it, every few years, I feel like I get a new appreciation for different parts of it, and I don't know if people can for these new ones. Like I don't know if there are the same. Maybe there are. Maybe I'll watch them in 10 years and be like, hey, I didn't notice this before, but I have a feeling that a lot more of it is on the surface as opposed to below. But we'll see.
Honestly, I feel like even with the original trilogy, a lot of that shit is just people coming up with their own headcanon.
Well, but I mean, like, certain scenes work for me differently, like we talked about on Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Like,
Now versus...
yeah. Like, when I was, like, growing up, you like the action scenes, you like the Rancor stuff, and then as you get older, you can appreciate what the relationship between Luke and Darth Vader is, and, like, all that stuff, so...
Yeah.
But I don't know if those layers are in... Especially this one. I feel like because they didn't have enough time to actually dig down and figure out what it is. Maybe the Rey stuff will work different for me when I get older, but I don't know. I
mean, I feel like that's also just kind of watching these films as a kid versus watching them as an adult. Like, I mean, even, like, I appreciate shit from the prequels now that I didn't before. And that's not saying much. But, like, I think just depending on where you watch these films as, I don't know.
Where you are informs your opinion of them.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, with any media, that's going to be a thing.
For sure. And I think, I don't know. I don't think that these films are going to be heralded as the best Star Wars films, in the, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I definitely think that they'll be considered probably with higher value than the prequels. And
Except for all the apologists.
but I mean, that there's apologists now. I feel like this film versus prior films is getting kind of hit with the same amount of vitriol, and I think there will probably be a lot of that as well.
Yeah. Thursday morning, I opened up Google, and in my little drop down of here's articles you might like was just review. Rise of Skywalker
Garbage.
is the worst Star Wars movie ever
No.
made.
I
was like, wow.
It's like, this fucker never saw the Christmas special.
Oof. Caravan of Courage, motherfucker.
I would say the worst it could get for me is fourth worst, which will probably end up where it will end up.
So only above the original trilogy.
Yeah.
That's fair.
No.
Oh.
Fourth worst is fourth from the bottom, not from the top.
So
like the Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, Phantom Menace, there's going to be a gap, and then it's going to be this, and then the rest.
Yeah, that checks out. Well, what does that translate to them old
Cloonies.
GCs, my friend?
Show me them Cloonies.
I'm
Show me
going
them
to
sweet Cloonies. Just flop them out.
So like I'm one of the rare people that prefers The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. But
Is that a rarity?
Yeah,
But-
I was going to say that everybody at this table
Yeah, I feel like-
agrees
but-
with you.
but isn't celebrating that JJ quote unquote fixed everything. Like that seems to be like if you like The Force Awakens, you'll love this because he fixed everything.
Yeah.
Or if you love The Last Jedi, you'll hate this. I'm like kind of split down the middle where I'm kind of in between that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I feel like okay, sorry, I'm not gonna.
I'm probably gonna stick to what my initial one on the Moist Boys reviews was.
Ooh.
Go listen to Moist Boys reviews if you want to hear. I talk about Knives Out. I gave that a Clooney score. I use the Clooney score over there because I just keep the things.
Yeah, well, of
It's our
course.
thing.
It's our thing. Yeah.
I mean, if you didn't, you're a fucking monster.
It's true. It's verifiable.
I'm gonna have to keep my score from over that, and I'm gonna give it 6.5.
6.5. That's fair.
We were so close. Heather and I, we wagered you to give it a 7.
Ooh.
So Price is
So-
Right rules, we lose.
I know, but the next one is this one, and I also made a bet on what Harley. would give it.
Oh, motherfucker.
Just because, as much as I thematically, I think The Last Jedi, even if I don't like it, it still did what it set out to do, and I
Yeah.
don't know if this one did.
Oh, we did go.
Yeah. I would say I agree with you. I mean, I guess someone who's enjoyed all 3 of the new trilogy, I mean, rating it in the grand scheme of things is a little difficult, especially not having all of my Clooneys in front of me for prior films if I'm going to relate them on that scale.
Same.
Yeah, right. It's a little tough, but I mean, I don't know. Like I would say in retrospect, out of 10 being a perfect movie, 5 being a passable movie, and 0 being like Geely level garbage. I mean, I would probably put the prequels like 5 to 6, in that they're passable.
We
they're-
already did that.
Yeah, they're not great films, but I would say that the original trilogy for me is like 8.5s to 9s for Empire. I would say, given where this falls, I would say that I like this movie. I would say out of the 3 new films of this new trilogy, I probably like this one a little bit less than Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. So I would probably say I would give this film a 7.5. Did you guys call it?
I don't know. I don't remember when.
No, I said our bet was you were either gonna love it or you were gonna hate it, but you were gonna have no buts. It was either you were gonna just love it or you were just gonna hate it.
Oh, I have so many buts.
Yes, you had so many buts.
got a lot
We
of
knew this
butts.
guy was gonna hate it.
Yeah,
we called that.
And
crap.
I wouldn't even say you hated it. I think you saw the positives, but had some very reasonable criticisms.
This is what I had said after the film had ended, is that I was able to appreciate a lot more the second time are all the Reese's peanut butter cups that were sprinkled into a base that wasn't entirely
Set.
it didn't have a good structure underneath it.
Checks out.
And I think
soggy bottom in relation to Great
yeah,
British
there
Bake-
wasn't
There you go.
yeah. So that was like
Excellent filling, soggy bottom.
soggy
Yeah.
ass bottom. Speaking of soggy bottoms, let's
Rolling on. So again, without being able to completely recall what other Clooney's I gave to the other movies,
Yeah.
I will say I think I liked this one more than The Last Jedi. But that's just because I know you can fucking kick me off the internet, whatever. And I will
Canceled.
say only slightly.
canceled off Wiki.
Thank God. Only slightly, but that's because I feel like the failed attempts at humor within The Last Jedi are much more damning than any of the like weird humor in this movie.
Yeah.
Whereas like this movie, I can actually like laugh along with the movie and not just cringe at all the times they yeet Domhnall Gleeson into a wall. But again, without being able to remember what I gave that movie, I'm going to hopefully give this movie a higher score than I gave that one, which I feel like I probably gave that one a 7.
Yeah.
So retroactively, I'm going to say I gave that one a 7, and I'm going to give this one a 7.5.
Ooh, up top. Boom. So, Heather, you owe me $10 because we also had a bet that your husband's a little bitch. Which he
wanna
isn't.
go, bro?
Which he
You wanna
isn't.
go?
Which he isn't. So I win.
wait. So Heather said he was.
Wait a minute. I mean, that checks out.
I'm funny sometimes. I see why you guys invite me to these. And he was never heard of again. There it is. Yeah. Stealing my joke, you must.
So I'm sticking with my original score. As soon as we walked out of the theater, I was like, I know what I'm giving this for Clooney's.
10 out of 10.
No, it did not get a 10 out of 10. There was a Raylo kiss. It does not get a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's an immediate downgrade.
That is at least 1 to 5. Clooney's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a negative 15 just on its own. So, like, that, it's got a huge
gonna do a lot of
handicap.
work.
It's just hemorrhaging Clooney's.
But then Daisy Ridley gets a 12, so it almost...
Almost evens out.
Yeah.
So I liked this movie. I walked away happy. I walked away feeling good. I knew there was parts that I was, it's all right. It was a movie, but overall, I definitely liked it better than Last Jedi. I think I'm gonna remember it more than I remembered Last Jedi and Force Awakens. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Ooh, wowie, wow.
There you go.
There it is.
I liked it. I knew I was gonna like it. I knew we were gonna be opposites, actually, Josh.
I
I got in the
don't-
car and I was like, we were walking to the car. I was like, so I'm pretty sure Josh did not like it, and I think Harley's going to have loved it, and I think that we're gonna have to fight, and I'm gonna be on the opposite end.
I mean, again, as I always fucking say every time we review anything, like, just Star Wars in general, like, I'm such a fucking filthy, like...
Oh, I'm such a fan.
I'm such a fan.
Such a
Like,
fanboy.
my nostalgia goggles are fucking Coke bottle. Like, they would have...
You put a lightsaber in front of me, and I'm just like,
Yeah. Ooh, cool.
gonna give it 8 scars.
They really would have had to fuck this shit up tough to get me to, like,
They would have had to Han Solo this shit.
And I even liked Han Solo. I even liked Solo. So again, that just shows like
No taste.
I am an uncultured piece of garbage, and I'm okay with that. But like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, time might change my opinion.
Yeah.
Because time does that with movies, with me. Because I come out of I'm very easily entertained.
Same.
Extremely.
No, I'm an easy ass mark.
You know all those like the candies and the toys and the whatever they put at the end of the aisles right as you're checking out. Mm-hmm. Those are there for me.
Oh yeah, gift shops fuck my shit
Like
up.
that too. I am one of those people.
Yeah.
Like they're called point of purchases, by the way. They're called POPs.
Yep.
You put anything on a goddamn POP, and I'm gonna stop and look at it. Target's dollar section is my jam.
Mm-hmm.
I
And that's
can't.
right as soon as you walk in the building.
And I can't.
In
I
and
can't-
out. It's
I
right at the
can't.
entrance.
I know. I can't walk past it and not look. I just
Yeah.
can't. So like I'm an easy mark.
Yep.
And sometimes sometimes time does change my opinion on things like Transformers
I definitely
too.
think
Yeah.
no, that's just reason.
But
I didn't like that film. So
Yeah.
I mean, we hated it when we came out of the theater, and now we fucking love it.
I think it's reverse, babe. Reverse.
No.
Okay. So Jonathan and I are getting a divorce.
check it out.
So
You heard it here first.
The thing is that this film and really this trilogy had like the near impossible task of carrying over Star Wars, which we all look at with such nostalgic, like fond memories, and carrying it into the modern age for a new generation, and
without prequeling.
without prequeling,
Because
yeah.
we've all had it done really well, and we've
Yeah.
all had it done real bad, and we're expecting them to fuck it up and make it real bad. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And I think that considering what it could have been and considering what we've seen, like I think they did a good job with what they had. There were some bumps along the way, but I think they gave us like a pretty satisfying final hope. I mean, I honestly, like, I say this again, realizing what I've literally just said, but what I hope is the final chapter of the primary Skywalker saga, because I really hope they don't dredge this shit up for a very long time, because I do not have the emotional fortitude to deal with this fucking fan base anymore.
Yeah, you guys were saying that they're talking about making a new film in 4 years.
Ryan Johnson's got his new trilogy.
a new Star Wars film, but not like
Yeah.
no Skywalkers, no fucking Palpatines, no.
Do we know what that one's going to be about?
They said they're going to do individual series of individual films.
Yeah.
So I guess which is probably why Kevin Feige is now doing Star Wars.
Yeah.
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 So it's going to be that we get 22
So we're
Star
getting
Wars
the-
films, and then Thanos comes in, and they have to fight him at the end.
Yeah.
You know
we're
what?
getting
I'm-
the SEU now.
I'm very excited though to have a 4-year break before we get
Totally.
anything else from this universe. And I actually had a really weird thing in the theater, and I tried to get Josh on my weird bandwagon. So I think Carly, it'll hit you in the feels a little more. Bennett will be 8
Yeah.
when the next Star Wars film comes out, and
Perfect
we can
age.
actually take him to see his first Star Wars film. So I'm excited for that break.
Hopefully, it's not shit.
You've
Well,
taken
you know,
your first
your
steps
first
into a
Star Wars
larger
film
world.
in theater was shit. So
I know.
Yeah,
I'm
mine-
real
shit.
salty about that.
Mine too, and I love the prequels.
it can be shit. That's fine.
are you? I
It's a
fucking
rite of passage at this point.
I cried when I was a chitlin because I tried to get my dad to take me to see Attack of the Clones on opening night. And I say specifically Attack of the Clones because that means that I watched The Phantom Menace in theaters. Fucking loved it.
Yeah, we watched all the prequels in the theaters as well.
Yeah, no, I know. But I'm just saying, I was so high on all of that shit that I needed to go see all of these films. Little fucking 9-year-old me was so down with intergalactic space trade. Holy
Yeah.
shit. He needed more.
When
He was hungry and he needed more.
when Attack of the Clones was coming out, we rented Phantom Menace from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
And we had it. It was the 5-day rental.
Yep.
And I watched it all 5
Yeah.
days leading up to Attack of the Clones.
Absolutely.
Well,
Not even mad about it.
Attack of the Clones is the only one that I didn't like coming out of the theaters because it was so bad.
Again.
The other ones,
in
they
retrospect.
hoodwinked me,
Right.
and they're like, "Oh, this is I love Qui-Gon Jinn."
Yeah, and then being fucking
dark
what,
and gritty.
17 and 15, being edgy teenagers, being like, they finally made Star Wars fucking dark.
Yeah, they made it cool.
They made it cool.
And then realize, ooh, actually, Phantom Menace is actually the best of the prequels. So
We've had this fight before.
I'll fight you like a crocodile.
I honestly don't care. They're all so like bottom of the barrel-ish for me.
Yeah.
it really blows my mind when people are like, "The prequels are my favorite."
I mean, that's fine. That's good for you. if you just
People are
hate
entitled to
yourself.
be wrong.
Yeah, they really are.
Objectively, I've said this before. You can objectively review films. You can review a film, whether it's good or bad, objectively, without any personal opinion.
Yep.
Objectively, the prequels are not good.
Not good. But again, just the chance.
That's a joke. You can't. It's impossible to objectively review movies.
Yeah.
I've had this argument with people. Yeah, I've tried to explain what the word subjective and objective means.
It's not a no one wins that battle,
Yeah.
I can assure you. But I don't know, just the chance to get to be in this world for one final time, that definitely was worth the price of admission. And I know for a fact the moment this fucking film comes out on Blu-ray, I will buy it. I'm gonna watch it again. I am such a fucking shill, I'm not even mad about it. But I just it was good to finally conclude this chapter of our saga in a long ago on a planet far, far away, galaxy far, far away.
It definitely ends in a way where the credits ran after the scene was over.
They sure did. They sure did.
Good God,
It's been a journey.
it's been a journey.
It's been a saga, if you
We
will.
fucking did it.
We did it.
We've talked about Star Wars for like 18 hours now.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't like Star Wars and have listened to all of these Moist Boys episodes,
God, we love you.
Sucks to be
We
especially
love
this
you
one.
so much.
this is
Yeah,
gonna
we
be
are so sorry. If you if you just nope out of this one at the 3-hour mark, we don't blame you.
yeah.
Please tell us what you would like us to talk about actually in the future.
Yeah.
Give us some suggestions. We love
Share with your
suggestions.
friends. You know the details. We're on Instagram. We're
Fucking
on Twitter.
smash that like button, bros.
Give us a 5-star review, a thumbs up, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's on your thing. Head on over to our Patreon.
Use that force lightning to ring our bell.
Yeah.
Heyo.
And then, so we're gonna do something a little bit different. We have got one more episode this year before 2019 finally the stupidest year that I can remember
God damn.
finally comes to a close. We got a special Christmas present for all y'all coming up.
Ooh.
So come back for that. Ooh, John Boyega's in the room with us.
Ooh.
I just murdered that man. Sexy face.
Ooh.
To be fair, he can't help it.
That's true.
That's just his face.
Oh, there's a reason you two are married. You deserve each other.
Yeah.
And John Boyega.
And John Boyega. Yeah.
It's right in the middle. It's right in the middle.
Let's.
Make it stop.
Yep.
Yeah, come back on Christmas for a special Christmas present, and then come back next year. We promise there'll be new shit.
New shit.
It won't be Star Wars.
No more Star Wars.
Well,
we
we'll
have
probably.
done it.
Are we going to be talking about the Mandalorian? Well, will you all be talking about the Mandalorian?
I mean, that show will be done by the end of the year.
Yeah, there's one more episode.
Oh, only one?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck me.
No more Star Wars. No hashtag. No Star Wars 2020.
Yeah. That's our promise.
Unless you all just flood our social media.
If we get to,
requests.
I feel like it'll be brought up like anecdotally.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like no
episodes.
devoted episodes.
if we get
Will not
to,
be a full episode.
if we get to $1,000 a month on Patreon,
we'll do the
do an
Christmas
episode.
special. We will do the Star Wars Christmas
Yeah.
special.
But until then,
Ad nauseum
no more Star
until we
Wars.
all
We're
die.
done with Star Wars.
Yeah.
We got plans coming up for next year though. We got some exciting stuff.
I'm excited. I'm excited for a couple specific things next.
Yeah.
Examples.
We're going to be going to Emerald City Comic Con next year, 2020. So we might try to do some content from there. So that might be something to keep an ear out for. If you are one of the people listening, or I should say, if you're watching The Mandalorian or His Dark Materials, head on over to His Dark Materials. By the time you're listening to this, it might be called something else because I don't really like the logo or the name of the show. It's kind of clunky if it's not talking about His Dark Materials specifically.
Would
which
you
is what we're
say
doing now.
it's McClunky?
Get go home.
I'm trying.
But
Your wife, I assume, loves you and misses you.
well,
Maybe.
Maybe
She did actually just text
she
me.
might be starfished in their bed.
No,
Probably. Yeah, you're on the couch tonight, bro.
She actually texted me. She's like, "Baby."
Are you alive?
Can I call her and be like, "Hello, baby"?
Hello, baby.
head on over to His Dark Materials though if you watch His Dark Materials or The Mandalorian, or we're gonna announce a special new show for 2020, maybe 2 shows.
Little House on
Also-
the Prairie
Yeah.
by popular demand.
Also, head on over to Moist Boys Reviews. I'm going to be putting up reviews of movies that are coming out that are in theaters, spoiler free.
Keep
I'm
your
going
eye
to
out for Cats.
I'm going to try to do Cats and some more. There's a couple more Christmas movies coming out that I'm going to try to do, so that should be fun.
Like Noel, right?
I mean, that's been out for a while.
Yeah, that's been on Disney Plus for a while.
But haven't you? Did you review Noel?
No.
But I think it's It's what the people want.
If they
Sure,
want,
the people wanted Claus, and
you mean Klaus?
Want a Klaus,
Klaus?
and then turns out they can't be here for that. So
Yeah.
not salty at all.
Who's not here?
Anyway,
I don't get it.
Anyway,
the person that always is like, "Hey, we should do this," and then doesn't show up.
yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm a really good idea man.
doesn't show up and doesn't watch it, and then is like, "Oh wait, what are you guys doing?"
Yeah. Pulling those curtains back.
Yeah.
Letting those ugly layers show.
Yep.
Thank you all for listening to the Moist Boys podcast.
We
I
love
am
you
fucking exhausted because it's 2 in the fucking morning. We've been recording this episode for over 4 hours now because we did take a quick break in the middle. But thank you for listening to this episode, and God help us.
God help us all.
God save the queen.
Goodbye.